Welcome everyone to the 2021 Pro Chess League. This is the quarterfinals, and I'm going to be hosting today's broadcast together with one of the captains of the qualifying teams. David, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are always
Very
matching.
excited.
I don't know how we do it. I just need to point out that the color matching with the outfits is completely improvised and not synced, but at the same time, it looks like we talked about it. We did not.
It's perfect.
It's just telepathy. But speaking of telepathy, do you think that your team is ready, and will you be channeling the best moves to them in this very interesting and new format that we need to look at for the knockout stage? We have 2 hours of Arena that is going to be played with 3 minutes, no increment time control. 8 teams with 6 players on each team, and the first 3 teams will qualify after the 2-hour arena. The bottom 3, unfortunately, we need to say goodbye to. And what happens with the 4th and 5th team, you're asking? Well, we're gonna see the famous leather knockout match for that final qualification spot. That is, after today's show, we will have 8 teams fighting, but only 4 of them happy. 4 of them will make it to the semifinals. These are the 8 teams that we have been talking about earlier with David: the Russia Wizards, the Brazil Capybaras, the Indian Yogis, France Roosters, Canada Chess Bras, Norway Gnomes, St. Louis Archbishops, the defending champions Archbishops, and David's team, the California Unicorns, will be fighting today to make it to the semifinals. There's also individual prizes at stake, as well as the team prizes. Obviously, for today's best performing player, we have $1,000 of an additional prize, apart from the team prizes, which are obviously the big prizes. The first team in this year's Pro Chess League will take home $20,000. That is the main prize of the event. $15,000 to the second place team and $10,000 for the bronze medal. The schedule will be as follows. We have today the quarterfinals with 8 teams fighting, but only 4 of them will make it to Thursday's semifinals, and the big finale will be on Friday. And as usual, the times are 10 a.m. Pacific, except for today when we are starting a bit later. David, how do you see the chances of your team in this very tough field?
Well, it's it's going to be really tough. I think I think all the teams look really good. I see that some of the teams have brought on extra firepower. So one of the rules was that they could add 1 player to the 6-player roster for today that was not in the 9-player qualifying roster. Russia, despite crushing their group, decided, hey, let's go even bigger. And they have added Yaponyashi, the world championship challenger, to their team. So, yikes.
Not a bad addition to the team. They already crushed it, as you said. They dominated their group, but they want to dominate the entire league.
Yeah. So they're not easing up just because of their success. And you know that anyone competing for the world championship has to be hyper competitive as a person. So we have to assume that, if Jan is in there, he's coming to crush. And then I think I also noticed the Brazil Capybaras upgrading as well with the addition of Samuel Sevian. I don't believe I'm like certain that he didn't play for their team in the qualifiers, but correct me if my certainty is wrong.
No, you're right. Hikaru did play, and he's back today to play for the Capybaras, indeed.
So he'll be playing under the name.
Regretting the other day. I've just recalled. Sorry.
It's okay. He'll be playing under the name Konevets, and that will add another near 2,700 to their team.
Not a bad field. Not a bad field. We're going to see a lot of 2,700 rated Grandmasters or more, 2,700 and above. The sky is the limit when we have the world number 2, Fabiano Caruana in the field, Hikaru, Nakamura, Wesley, so Anish Giri, and you mentioned young Yaponyashi has just been added to an already star-studded field. This is happening right now, right here. We're going to take a very quick break to then bring on the action, a 2-hour arena with the strongest chess players in the world fighting for their teams. Don't go anywhere, because in a few minutes it begins. 2 hours of non-stop blitz action, no increment. And I let David take care of captain duties, because I know these are the final minutes until you can help. So we're going to take a quick break. David will try to keep up with the blood pressure and the nerves as well, because this is it, the quarterfinals in a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the 2021 Pro Chess League broadcast. This is the quarterfinals, and this is a banger. This is the game to start with. Yaponyashi versus Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura. I mean, obviously, both of them are GMs, but GM Hikaru is his Twitch handle, so I need to say it. David, your thoughts? Yeah. We've got the World Championship challenger facing the biggest Twitch chess star and bullet hero, obviously. Very speedy player there, Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura.
Yeah, position's a clear positional advantage for Hikaru as we join it here. He's got the H file. He's got some weak dark squares to work with. The white knights don't yet really have a way. And he has a tactic to work with and a pawn to work with.
He's winning the f3 pawn. If the king were to take that rook on h2, knight takes f3, was going to win the rook back on d2 with a knight fork. Nice tactics by Hikaru, who is playing for the Capybaras again, obviously, his new Brazilian team.
Oh, Nepo tries a tactic too. He tries a tactic too. It's just a trade, and it looks like black's going to be able to play f5 and establish connected passed pawns. So white wants to try knight g3 here, but he's thinking, is there a problem with knight g3?
Knight g3 to try to stop f5. It seems that's what Jan is considering. He's also seriously low on time, so the position is advantageous. Up a pawn and those two pawns running. This must be winning for Hikaru position-wise, but also so much time advantage. And a reminder, there is no increment. This is 3 minutes, no increment. The king has made it to c4. Yeah. The c pawn is running, but the bishop is guarding the c7 square.
He's got everything now.
He gave up the bishop, but four pawns, and 4 of them are connected pass pawns.
Yeah, I think 3 would have been enough, but well, now it's down to 3, so we'll find out. Not that convincing just yet, but okay, here comes the A pawn. Maybe it can do something where the B pawn failed.
18 seconds left for Jan Yaponyashi to try to stop Hikaru's pawns.
Ooh,
Can he do it?
Not anymore. Not anymore.
That one's going. He's going to give up the knight for the f pawn, and then the e pawn wins. So Jan Yaponyashi resigns in his first Pro Chess League game of this season against Hikaru. What a start. What a start to the quarterfinals.
What a start. Okay. And here we click to Big Fish, Fedoseev. For Russia, he was the first person to win a game in this arena. This is already his second game. I noticed as other games were just starting that within a few seconds, it showed a 2 next to his name. So we'll see if he can get the first streak of the day going. In these arenas, very important that there's extra points for winning multiple games in a row, right? So you want to try and win 2, 3, 4 games in a row. Even a draw breaks that up.
So good start for Big Fish. Can he start as you said, that winning streak that would add bonus points to his score? Here with the white pieces, he now needs to decide what to do about the check. He plays bishop e3. So he's up a pawn, but black is trying to compensate with a pair of bishops. Yeah,
healthy extra pawn. And white structure is fine. And in fact, black has an extra little weakness on the queen side, but it's just hard to beat the bishop pair, I think.
Very difficult to break through, and also he still needs to create a passed pawn. That's still a pending task that's not so easy to accomplish.
Yeah, if you want to win, there's all the different steps, right? You definitely need a pass pawn before you win. You need to usher it down the board.
Intermediate move with bishop h4 check to then make it to g2. Now the pawn on h3 is hanging. Yeah. And it seems it's not
because
that easy
of rook h1. Because of rook h1, it's not truly attacked just yet, is it? Or
yeah,
bishop
if
h3,
bishop
rook
g4 check will get out of it. So I guess if he could make it in a way that, oh wait, he is forcing black to move the bishop. And
he wants to play something like king f3. I think there's a fascinating idea of like bishop h3, king f3. Well, maybe I'll just play some moves that haven't actually been played. And then when you play h5 to save this bishop, white plays g5 and your other bishop is perhaps stuck. That might be kind of the idea here. Let me refresh to where they're at and see what they're doing. The bishop came out of g2. It did not eat the pawn.
That was a really interesting pattern because we were looking at bishop h3, rook h1, but then the g4 pawn would have been hanging. So this was the key idea, king to f3 and not let the bishop out. Now black is trying to attack the pawns on the queen side.
Yeah, the bishops are so speedy. He's already found someone else to go after. Now rook d8 is going to, I think, disrupt White's defense of these points, because on bishop d4, there's rook d4, king d4, bishop f2.
Yeah, that would have been winning a piece for black. So now with the rook on the third rank, the pawn has been taken. Suddenly it is black who is playing this for a win.
Yeah, I think White's in huge danger now. This is a position very, very easy to lose with two active bishops and a rook just making life hell for this white king. I mean, it's getting checked and checked and checked. And how's the time? Because this is 3-0. We have to remember, we forgot at the very beginning on the very first day that there's no increment. 20 extra seconds.
Nico is doing so well. I think he's gonna break that streak of big fish. Fedoseev started well, but he's gonna go down in this game where he was trying to win with a pawn up. He ended up not being able to deal with the pressure of the two bishops.
Yeah, still 20 seconds down. It's just really tough to play out this end game. 5 seconds, 6 seconds. It's just kind of like you're kind of inevitably getting timed out. You have to start throwing in an occasional pre-move, and your opponent still has time to then take your piece.
And even if the position, it sometimes goes back to close to equal, but because of the time pressure, even if it was more of an equal position, I don't think
there's a pre-move and he
can
takes
save
the
it without
piece.
time. He did go for the pre-move, and now with an exchange down, it is game over. Great game by Nico. Yeah, again, Nico
starts a big streak for St. Louis already, right? That's 2 games in a row for him to get off and running. And let's see what else we've got. Nihal Sarin should be a fan favorite with his 3,100 blitz rating, child prodigy status.
Not bad to have 3,100 as your rating and still be so young. One of the youngest grandmasters in the world here with the white pieces, facing your player, Georg Meyer.
That's right. And in the event yesterday, St. Louis seemed to crush us so badly that I didn't even realize that at some point Georg Meyer beat Wesley So and Fabiano Caruana back to back. And that tells you how much you have to do in this arena, like how many total games are being played, right? Because I mean, So and Caruana still racked up these insane point totals. Their team won by over 50 points the whole arena, right? So you have to, I mean, it's great to get an upset against someone like that, but then you have to do it again and again. And again. You have to keep it up for 2 hours.
It's crazy. When we looked at the stats that Fabiano, I think, only lost to Meyer. And even like this, he scored so many points. As you said, they need to keep winning. And no matter who is the opponent, you need to go for the upsets constantly. This is not an upset now.
Great defense by Meyer. He was sacking a piece at some point because he had queen g3 with the perpetual. Wow. Okay. Good start for him. Let's see the professor.
The professor again, the newly registered player, Sam Sevian, who has just lost.
The professor, he's mating and flagging. King g3, queen g4. He both flagged and mated.
That would need to be like a double win because you are winning both
That's
all
how
the
you
time
should get.
And it's checkmate.
That should be the real way to get 5 points in a game. Not some winning streak, but checkmate somebody and they flag on the same move. Yeah, brutal by the professor. Okay, another favorite of yours, Robert Hess. Here representing France against Vidit. Great. Super GM from India.
I believe it's also the first appearance of Vidit for the Indian team. And what a debut, at least for this season's debut.
White had forced mate with queen f7, queen f8. Mouse slip. What's going on? It was 3 seconds each.
He hung the rook. It was a piece up for Vidit, and he hung his rook.
No way to know who's going to win. Hess is going to take all the pawns off the board, so in case he flags, so that in case he flags, White won't have a pawn. No, he won't.
He didn't.
I would have taken the pawn on h6.
0.4 seconds. 0.4. Grandmaster Robert Hess wins the game where he was down a piece.
All right. Wow. I'm going to try and catch a game that's more near the beginning of the game, if that makes sense, instead of always catching the last couple moves of some end game, right?
Let's do that. Nico again here with the white pieces. But if you want to switch to somewhere else, David, let us know.
I think Jospin uh, which is Alcantara. I think he scored second place individual in his in his
In the group
qualifying.
stage,
So
indeed.
yeah, so he's going to be really strong. I mean, one interesting question is, do you think, I mean, obviously it's about the teams, but one interesting question is, do you think that Hikaru is going to be like the top individual player, or is there someone here who can challenge him, like Nepo or Fabi or someone?
Yeah, we don't have any Penguin GM in the field because your team eliminated them.
Sorry, apologies.
That's okay. That's all right. It's such a strong field. We have seen the group stages being already full of super grandmasters, but this time it's multiplied. All of them are in the same arena.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And clicking on the top game on the list does not necessarily click to a new game because this one was already going. We've got 10 seconds on the clock for black, so they should be flagged no matter what here, right? They would have to checkmate on H1 or something really quick.
Yeah, wonderful time here.
Maybe the white queen is almost trapped.
It looks like a promising position for black, but I think you're right that he's so low on time that unfortunately it does not matter.
Great position if he had another minute.
7.9 seconds to checkmate. He needs to find something right now.
Queen E7 to H4 is the plan, I guess. Maybe he can at least pre-move those moves. Rook D5, just okay, take that.
Is it just so that white can give checks?
I don't know what that was, but it was fancy. He planned to lose his rook. He saw that coming. And wow, that was a great move actually by Pranav.
And the position too. I'm only just seeing that this was actually a good idea. I thought it was for the time first and foremost, but it worked out on the position too.
All right, I found an opening.
Yay!
We're just coming out of the opening here. Hans Niemann live from Dubai, where he's playing the Sharjah Masters, and continuing his push towards top 100 in the world. His rating is going up really fast. And here he's got white against Gawain Jones of England, representing the Gnomes.
Gawain has played also in various editions of the Pro Chess League, but not for the Norwegian team. I believe this is his first year playing for the Gnomes.
Lots of pieces, including queens, hanging right now. But I don't think that Hans is going to be able to capture them fast enough. I think that Gawain Jones is going to come out with the advantage here. He's looking at bishop b2 or knight d3, and he chooses the fancier one, leaving the knight hanging on e6 as well.
So both knights are hanging, but so is the rook, and Hans resigns to not lose more time in this situation. Again, a reminder, it's an arena, so the games go one after the other. And that's why we will see resignations at an earlier stage too, because if the player thinks it's desperate, they will not waste precious time on games that cannot score points for them.
Yeah, I was thinking a little bit about this new format, and I was thinking like, maybe if you think that the other player that you're playing against, like let's say you're keeping Fabiano Caruana busy and you think he's going to score too many points per minute for his team, so maybe I should keep playing the game
to stop him.
Yeah, the thing is that might make sense with like a 4-team arena if you know that your team is competing with 1 or 2 other teams, but here there's 8 teams, so while you keep Fabiano busy, there's 6 other teams that are passing you in the standings, so I don't think that comes up with this 8-team format.
But interesting to think about those different strategies for a new format. This is the first time that the Pro Chess League is played with an arena format, and it changes the strategies and changes the team dynamics. Yeah.
And speaking of the format, I'm really hoping to see and looking forward to seeing at some point the format that had been intended for today, where it's a series of 1-hour arenas, and every 1 hour, one team, goes in and one team goes out, and you keep playing with less and less teams. So
hopefully in the future, what we have today instead is a 2-hour arena, and the top 3 teams will qualify to the semifinals. Bottom 3 will unfortunately say goodbye, and the 4th and 5th will play a knockout ladder match. David, tell us about what's happening in Fabiano's game here.
It looks like white has converted to, has traded. Well, Fabiano hit a tactic attacking those 2 rooks, and somehow he had been down a pawn, and now the material is about equal. with the opposite colored bishops, it's very, very tricky to play this stuff. I mean, white can't play e4 because of queen f2. And in general, you want some pawns on dark squares, blocking off their bishop, protecting your king. The white bishop has a little bit better scope than the black bishop. So that can sometimes favor the player with the knight and pawns if their bishop is better than the opponent's bishop. But Fabiano's like slowly poking at the position, trying to create some weaknesses to play with.
Slowly poking, but with no time. They're both on 12 seconds. So
fancy move. Hard to figure out what's going on. Knight b5 going after the blockader of the pawn.
Blunders now with the time pressure.
New blockader. Queen c7 is going to win the game. Oh my goodness. And Alexei Sarana wins a big point for the Wizards, who are currently in the early lead. I mean, we're very, very early in this. Not quite 20 minutes in, but the early lead for the Wizards here. And Sarana adding to that total.
Very important score for the Wizards, and taking down the world number 2 is obviously also a huge personal achievement for Sarana here with the white pieces.
Yeah. Okay. I want to see Nepo in action again. Despite losing his first game to Hikaru, he has caught up with Hikaru in the standings right now, I think.
Oh.
And he's basically tied for first place with Hikaru. Well, it's saying number 2. When I looked at the standings a tenth of a second ago, he was tied with Hikaru for the individual standings. Here he's playing with a queenside majority against a central majority.
And his opponent is an international master, but with the blitz rating of 2,700. So let's see if a super grandmaster and a world championship challenger can outplay in an equal endgame a lower rated player.
Same thing Hikaru did in that endgame against Nepo, right? H-pawn, trade the H-pawn, get the rook with the open file, get some activity. And Black's position looks pretty pleasant here as well. Oh, sorry. Yeah. And the other game, Hikaru had Black and did that sort of same thing.
The same pattern, you are right. So Quintiliano doing very well for being an international master, couple of 100 rating points below Yaponyashi. He is holding his own. He's defending everything very well. If anything, he's now with the active rook on the second rank. I'm almost thinking it's Black who has the better chances, but then you take into account who is playing with which color, and maybe Yaponyashi with a few seconds of time advantage. There's no increment. The time pressure will cause a situation where Black will perhaps make a mistake. It's just somehow the experience of the super grandmasters usually prevail, even if there's nothing on the board.
Yeah. And I think a tiny little unfortunate thing happened to Quintiliano. You pointed out that he was down on time. When we first started watching the game, he was even on time. I think what happened when he played H6 and opened the H file and got his rook active was he realized, like, wait, I might be a tenth of a pawn better here, or 2/10 of a pawn better. And then he felt some responsibility to try and come up with like a great plan, like a master plan to convert the end game, use the file to get the point, to get the second rank, to blah, blah, blah. And he lost like 10 seconds. And obviously, even with 10 seconds, that's not enough time to come up with the master plan, right? So he just kind of got himself into a hole there. And now I don't think he's got a defense. His piece is hanging.
There's not a chance to defend both. The e3 bishop is hanging too, but white is taking 2 pieces. I think that's what happened, David, because you don't get a chance to play for a win against such a strong player every day. So he must have gotten really excited about it and trying to find the best plan, but that takes time. You are right.
And it's kind of cool seeing like a king d5 move, right? As like the piece sack of the bishop on e3. Obviously, you don't have to calculate very far to see that white wins. But that your piece sack move would be like advancing your king is kind of a funny little detail there. And down he goes. And I see Nepo in sole first place in the league now, and in second place in the arena. Sorry, in second place in the arena, Yappie here.
But that's Jordan van Forest from the Olympic team of the Netherlands, playing for the Chess Bros together with his also Olympic fellow and friend Anish Giri, obviously.
Oh, and he's playing against a unicorn. This is our new player, right? This is the player we've added who couldn't make the match yesterday. This is Christopher Yu, 14-year-old IM who is, 1 norm away from his GM title. Very, very strong player. So yeah.
Queen to f6 now by Jordan, putting pressure on the f4 pawn. And
I'm
I
a little
wonder
worried
what
for Jordan's
Christopher-
king.
Yeah, it looks like a very, very vulnerable king. At the same time, maybe Jordan is saying the h pawns of white will be protecting him, shielding him from the rook. Rook f1.
Okay. He doesn't want to trade queen. So this rook's coming to g5, and this rook on the f file is stopping rook g8. No, I'm completely wrong about everything.
I guess if rook g5, there was still f6, and
F6,
I was worried that you
allow.
can't prevent the trade of queens. But even with the trade, it seems that the black king can be in trouble. It's the 7th rank domination of the white rooks, pass pawn on h6. So this endgame is advantageous for Christopher.
Maybe slightly, but converting to the endgame with those h pawns, it seems like the king can stop them, and the black rook's going to bother white now at, attacking the bishop and the king, because the bishop's not anchored. If white had a pawn on c2, they could just play rook a7 and try and pursue their advantage.
Yeah,
but here I see a lot of counterplay.
I wonder if Jordan will now go for those rook moves that you have suggested. And so he starts with rook g3, attacking the bishop. Christopher says, I don't need to move it because your bishop is hanging too.
Okay, that's important. That's important, that tempo. Yeah, because white's bishop wasn't good. So they're reasonably happy to trade that piece. Now what should white do, though? Black's about to get connected past pawns. What does white have?
Double pass pawns on the h5 that cannot be promoted. Unfortunately, it still shows advantage for white, but you said it right, David, that it's no longer something that is easy. Yet the number of pawns for Christopher, it has been going well. It's on the plus side still.
Yeah, that was bizarre. I don't know why he traded his 2 connected pass pawns for Christopher's pawns, which looked pretty crummy to me. And right now this position looks probably losing for black. And I saw the white evaluation bar, but I was thinking that white was losing, and I didn't know why. I didn't know why.
White should no longer be losing. If anything, white's position should be possible to play for a win, but does he have enough time to play this for a win with 30 seconds only?
And
he's
and it's ticking down and there's no increment. So he makes the trade and goes king b5 to use the a pawn. Probably
I'm predicting a draw here because white is running out of time, and
white doesn't have the time to figure it out.
The rook pawn is not the simplest to win, especially when the black king is relatively close. Right.
Well, let's hope at least that he's got a way to not like flag with rook against rook, right? That would be the minimum we hope for. Yeah, he should not lose
on time. That would be terrible. I think they will find a repetition here. And the draw should be agreed.
Okay.
But good game for Christopher. And a lovely profile picture. Oh. That's going to be my new favorite of today's profile pictures. I always observe, obviously, the player profile pictures. Some have their portraits, which makes sense. But those mascots or pets or just cute pictures in general, I like. And the standings, that I like too. David, as you said, the Russia Wizards and the St. Louis Archbishops are the 2 favorites. And they are in the lead. They are proving they are favorites, but the difference is not much.
No, it's actually extremely close. I mean, when a player is on a streak, I think they can get 5 points for a single win, right? Which means from the first place Archbishops down to the 6th place Canada Chess Bras is less than 2 games. Huh? Less than 2 games difference.
This is true. This is so close that anything can still happen. Top 3 counts. So we still have an hour and a half left of our arena, but the top 3 teams will qualify directly to the semifinals, and the 4th and 5th team will play in a knockout ladder match. The bottom 3, unfortunately, are the sad places here in the Chess Bras. The Gnomes and the France Roosters are in danger of being eliminated. I'm very surprised to see the French team actually and the bottom of the standings, having MVL and basically the French Olympic team on the roster.
Right. But which team would be at the bottom now that every team is so strong? I mean,
I know. It's just impossible. Everyone is a super grandmaster or soon a super grandmaster. Even the IMs in our field are very talented young players, as we saw in the case of Christopher Yu, that he's going to be a grandmaster in no time.
Do you know who Grandmaster Vati Cumming is? I love their position here against Sandro Mareko.
Let me check if I have them on the list. Must be a new addition. No, actually, it's Aravind Chittambaram. He played already.
Oh, Chittambaram. Yeah, I know him, just not his Twitch handle. Okay,
yeah.
His Chess.com handle.
Also
okay, so
one of the
Mareko chooses to sack queen to mix it up. It's exactly what Danya told me to do when you're losing a blitz game. He said do something like that. Look, if queen e3, bishop d4, so that knight is still going to do some damage, and black recaptures the bishop. And black right now has 2 minor pieces against a queen. In a blitz game,
more time.
There's nothing easy about playing this for white. Nothing.
Oh, so many threats and so many ways in which white can go wrong with the tactical patterns here. Will we see a check or a knight coming to d4? Tricky position.
Yeah. Leaves the rook hanging to the knight. Doesn't even try and dodge around black's 4 minor pieces to preserve that exchange. The d5 move is pretty interesting. Black could take it with the pawn, and then after queen f5, take on e4. It's just another tough choice for everybody here. What is white trying to accomplish?
C2. It's so tough because that knight has been on the board, taken a rook, and now the other knight has been recycled, gone back to d4.
Yeah, what is white trying to accomplish? I guess they'll play knight f6 now to weaken the dark squares, but I mean, it's been many moves since I knew what to do for white.
It's just such a chaotic position, and they have no time. A reminder, there's no increment. White can literally lose this on time.
I think
or they make a draw by repetition. What is going on?
I don't know. Nobody knows.
White is winning and losing at the same time according to the evaluation board.
Now it's 2 rooks instead of 2 knights against the queen.
And only 7 seconds left for Chittambaram here with the white pieces.
Wow. Heroic performance from Mareko.
Still, the game
nice
goes
move with the rook.
With no time. The checks will make it happen in a way that
he's taking a draw.
Why? Oh, he thought he might lose. He
had 0.6 of a second extra. You gotta push that 0.6 of a second.
He may have been worried that he can lose on time too.
Yeah, well, certainly he could. Yeah.
In that sense, I guess it's the fair result for a game where both had chances. White had a queen up, but the minor pieces of black were so tricky, created chaos, and that was enough to bring the chances back for Sandro Mareko.
Okay, this is who I was trying to watch next. I wanted to come to Pragnanda. See a game of his.
So here we have 2 of the junior stars, Geoffrey Zhang against Pragnanda, some of the youngest and most promising grandmasters out there in the world, on the world junior list.
Pragnanda finished in 6th place in his individual or in his qualifier arena, behind 2 of his teammates, Nihal Sarin and Raunak Sadwani, also teenage grandmasters about his age from India.
It's crazy how that group was just dominated by the yogis. They took the first 3 places.
Oh, right, because Yaspam was playing for them too. Wow.
Yeah, it was the full Indian squad. But now, as you mentioned, they are all in the same arena because the Russia Wizards also dominated their group stage. Archbishops dominated their group. Yeah. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one today.
Yeah. All right. So Geoffrey Xiong for the Archbishops has the bishop pair. And there's a big question whether this b3 pawn is good or bad.
So far, it looks like it's surviving, but that pawn, as soon as it's attacked, it feels like you can barely hold onto it. For now, if the queen were to attack it, queen b4 is not a real threat to the pawn because the rook is depending on the queen's protection. Bishop takes f6.
Yeah. Both players had like kind of ugly positions. And I think Jeffrey found the answer. But the problem for him in this position here is that the rook on d6 is trapped almost, right? And as long as that rook is trapped, he can't move his bishop to d3 or his knight to d3. So I think the b3 move was partly to stalemate the knight on e1 so that Jeffrey just wouldn't have anything to move. So he makes this bishop trade, this knight's hanging, so it has to be the one to recapture. Then he gets behind the b pawn with his rook. So he gives up his best piece, the dark squared bishop. But I think he's eliminating this passed pawn and untangling his remaining pieces. Now he gets to play the game with an extra pawn instead of with a nice looking bishop.
Makes perfect sense that he went for this. And now perhaps it soon will be time for that knight to leave the back rank. Obviously, no one wants to have a knight sitting on e1. He has taken the pawn, so the pawn of black from b3 is gone. f4, the pin is making sure that this pawn on e3 now cannot be moved. King f2 guards the pawn.
Stopping knight c2 from reinforcing it is our Prague.
It's just
Jeffrey's been a child prodigy a few years longer than him, so he's the experience in this matchup. But not too long ago, Jeffrey was playing in junior events, and he was the child prodigy.
Indeed, both of them have been so strong already in the youth category as well, junior, and now obviously in the overall Grandmaster club as well. 2 queens are hanging right now. Who will move it first?
And Jeffrey is up a second clear pawn, and that's kind of forcing a queen trade because otherwise he wins the third pawn. Now he's 2 pawns up for nothing, and I would bet on him converting this. I would say it's done. Our Prague could consider saving his time on this game, right? Because of the whole arena calculation.
Yeah, but will he do it, or will he believe that there's a chance?
I think the odds of saving have gone down to 0. So.
Well,
yeah.
I think he agrees with you. He agrees with you, and he also agrees with our producer that has suggested that we will take a very short break to then come back with the remaining action. Remember, this is the quarterfinals of the Pro Chess League. Only half of the field will make it, and there are so many strong teams with some of the top chess grandmasters in the world. Fabiano Caruana, Hikaru Nakamura, young Yaponyashi has just been added to the roster today. MVL is not even making it so far. The French team is struggling. We shall see how the remaining hour and a half will go for the teams in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. This is the Pro Chess League quarterfinals.
Want to hold a massive chess tournament with dozens of clubs or hundreds of players? Or maybe a small chess tournament with local but competitive clubs? With Club Arenas, you can. Club Arenas allow for tournaments of any size with any number of clubs and players. Customize the arena with any time control, with standard chess or mini chess variants, and with any starting position you want. Club Arenas are the most flexible tournament format on Chess.com. Try one out today.
Welcome back, everyone, to the 2021 Pro Chess League. This is the quarterfinals, and this is going to be the most epic arena royale, if I can pronounce it, that you will ever see. I only have just been looking at the individual results, and while the archbishops are doing really well, their main boss, Fabiano Caruana, is 39th on the individual standings. David, how is that possible?
You know, I'll say one thing that I noticed in a couple previous seasons about Fabi was occasionally in the regular season, he was playing like 2750, 2800 level. And so, you know, someone else might have the highest score in the league during the regular season. And then when you got to the finals, you know, the final four in person, it's still blitz, it's still on a computer, but he would show up at those final fours and he would just score 100%, you know, performance rating undefined.
Is he keeping his peak performance to the matches when it matters?
Maybe once you've played in the World Championship, it's not easy to get your full, you know, killer level up for a competition that's not quite at that level, shall we say. So, I mean, for most people, you look at this event, you're like, the competition's insane. But I think Fabi would be the only person in here who looks at this and is like, yeah, I've played tougher.
Yeah, I guess once you are the world number 2 and there's only one person above you on the rating list, and that one person you almost beat in a world championship match, you're right, David, that must give you a different perspective. But in any case, the archbishops as a team are doing really well. And here with the black pieces is the one player that is on the top of the individual standings. Jeffrey Zhang is the best performing archbishop. Yeah,
at the moment, it's his turn to be carrying, you know, Wesley and Fabi for a moment. You know, the standings might flip around in 10 minutes, but here he is.
He has just lost to Jababa.
And he has just lost. He just resigned here.
He said that he's carrying Wesley and Fabi, which is still the case because he's still doing very well.
Still number one in the arena.
Still number one in the arena, but he has just lost to Exotic Prince Grandmaster Badur Jabava.
Do we even know why he resigned? I guess it's just 95, 95, and Bishop F7 is kind of checkmating, and Bishop E5, Queen H6 is still checkmating.
How do they even have this time on the clock?
Yeah, I know they had so much time.
They have not used any seconds basically to think.
Oh, well, they had used like, he'd used like a minute.
Okay. I didn't
here,
see
but somehow when
clock.
I put in a variation, it changed the clock.
I see. I just couldn't believe it. That's physically impossible.
Yeah, that would be impossible because there's no increment. They can't have 258 after playing a game. Okay. Oh, and we said someone might leapfrog. Look, Wesley So leapfrogged him and is now in first place while he was having his streak broken by Exotic Princess. Wait, Wesley So's got the same opponent.
Yeah, it's Badur Jababa who has to take down now Wesley So as well if he wants to stop the archbishops.
He does.
So your player here with the white pieces again from the California Unicorns, Badur Jababa. Can he do it and can he win? He's got the white pieces again, so that is something to start with.
They should also give you bonus points when you break the streak of somebody like Wesley So or Jeffrey Zhang. You know what I mean? They would get 5 points if they won and continued their streak. So when you beat them, you take their power and take their 5 points.
I like the take their power, kind of like as if they were the superheroes that they are. Actually, they are superheroes of chess, and you take their superpowers.
It comes from the Highlander, where you're supposed to take someone's something and with it, their power. You know the Highlander?
Yeah. I normally am not good at any TV series, movie reference, but this time I got it, David. I'm so proud of myself. Like 1 out of 30. maybe.
I'm proud of you too. That puts us in the same camp because I know almost none either. So it turns out there's just one we both know.
Yeah,
right
the
here,
pop culture references.
Right here, it looks like the bishop's about to have its head taken. The tricky lines here for white involve like h5 and bishop takes h6, and they all fail because of queen h5, whichever order you do it in. Whether you try to sack the bishop and then play h5 or h5 to kick the knight and then bishop h6, everything would lose to queen h5, I think. So he's trying it, but it's not going to go anywhere, I believe.
Let's see how Wesley will react to this. As you said, it should not work because in the end, Black will hold everything together with that queen h5 check, picking up the bishop that is preparing the mate on g7. So there is no way of capturing that pawn without losing the piece or having to trade queens with queen h5, queen h3. Knight e4.
Just some random smoke and mirrors. I imagine Black can just take the bishop.
And so he does. He says, I'm not afraid of you. Give me that piece.
Bring the last rook
Knight
to
on
e8.
a8. Indeed, he's bringing that knight back. I was just going to say that the knight on a8 obviously is not the strongest of pieces, but it is an extra piece.
Exactly. It's just going to sit there for a while and say, I'm an extra piece for eventually.
Let's see where will Wesley go, or
right.
just defend the knight. Rook e8 makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Developing that rook, knight d4 now cuts the connection between the bishop and the knight.
Queen b1, and if king h2, knight f1. Seems reasonable. Trades it first and forks on a different square. Cool. That is
I was
death
looking at
Wesley's.
knight f1 where he had another fork as well, knight f5.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Wesley is going to keep his streak alive while he doesn't want the rook. Threatens a heartbreaking checkmate.
I think this will be the moment where Jabava possibly resigns.
Yeah, next game, Badur. All right, on to the next
this
one.
Stopped Jeffrey, but he couldn't stop Wesley. 50% against the top two scorers of the Archbishop. Still very good result, David, for one of your strongest players here. Now the individual standings, though, is that Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura is in the lead with a 3-win streak, but Wesley is on a 6-win streak. So, now that the point has been added, 7-win streak. 7-win streak, he is taking first place again. Yeah, it's just the split second for which we need that time to update the score. Wesley is first, Hikaru is second, and Jeffrey is in third place.
Yeah. All right. Opposite side castling here. I'm going to follow Wesley for like a game or two maybe, but if there's somebody dear to your heart that we haven't gotten to, just let me know and I will follow. I don't like these A5 lines in the knight, or mainly because I feel like when white controls A4 and B5, they can blockade the whole queen side a little bit too easily. I like to have some more attacking chances for black.
Hulkmania being Tor Frederick Cousin, international master, playing for the Gnomes. I think this is the first time we are checking in with his game, so I was double checking the username there.
Yes, thanks for that. Hulkmania. Does that mean he's a fan of the green thing from those bad movies? Or
I guess so. I guess
or
that's
a professional wrestler? Is it the green thing or the wrestler?
And what does
I'm gonna guess the wrestler.
For?
We're gonna put our poor knowledge of popular culture on the line. I'm gonna bet on the wrestler.
I see. I'm gonna bet on the movies, and we'll need to ask him. In any case, his position is looking solid, but he has to make a move. The rook on a7 at the moment is a bit misplaced.
Right. I mean, his position's sort of set up to play the move d5. And in some cases, he could sack his a pawn at a4 to distract the white pieces to try and play d5. Yeah, white locks it in. I would have played that move ages ago, a4.
Yeah, just to not blunder the bishop on b5. That would have been my thinking. But it stops the black pawn as well. The rook has made it from a7 all the way to c8. That's a lot more active situation there with the semi-open fight. And d5 may be next on the cards.
Right. And I think maybe black was thinking rook takes c3 followed by d5. And so white played queen e1 to not get their king's position messed up. And if black plays d5 without rook c3, then white can play g5, and they have to calculate that. I know they only have seconds, but that's their job.
Is there just to calculate d5 is on the board, and let's see how white will react to this very important pawn push, typical in the Sicilian. No reaction to the pawn push, but g5 to attack on the king's side.
And if the black knight retreated, white would take on d5. So black has to play d4, and black had to find the right moment to do this. Takes back with the queen so that the rook will continue to keep white from playing queen c3. And look at that. He doesn't want the pawn on g7. That looks very clever by Hulkmania. And looks like a messy position. And anyone could win it kind of position.
Very messy. And it's funny how this d7 pawn is the one that's helping black's king to feel safer. It could be similar if black takes on b2. Maybe white will not want to touch that pawn, use it as an umbrella for his king.
I'm going to predict queen f6, looking at the f3 pawn as a weakness, and then playing rook d8 and nothing to do with that. Oh my God, a tactic.
Oh, just when we thought that after the queen trade, this is now more solid and safe
queen
for the
trade.
king.
He plays the boring option. No.
It's a pawn fork, and that means that white cannot take on b3, bishop d7 to try to chase that rook away from the c file, but there are a couple of squares available.
I guess the rook needs to stay on the c file, right? Not go for rook d8 or anything. He's going for h6 and then some kind of rook d8 tactic, right? That's what he wants. And Hulkmania just says he doesn't want to deal with that. But now there could be rook g1 check and pawn takes bishop, no?
Yeah, he's giving that option to his
King
opponent.
f6, get off the files. Don't let white escape.
Why does he... Wait. Oh, he was just counting on the d7 bishop hanging too, so there was not a single moment where
anytime the rook checks. Okay.
That is smart. Okay, that makes perfect sense in hindsight. We were shocked by something that didn't exist. Black had it under control, always a piece up.
Ooh, black does have 19 seconds though. So far the lesson is that I should worry less and calculate more.
I would say it's an important lesson to all of us.
I would say rook c6, b6 with a mating attack is a good plan for black here. So Wesley, using some time, sees it coming, tries to find space for the king. Rook checks back. I think he's more or less mated here. No, black doesn't see how to mate him. I don't either, but it's probably there. Bishop d2, yep.
He's running out of time, so he better find a checkmate.
Stay in your box.
10 seconds left, though. Box or not, he has to. Can he do it?
Rook b1 to a1. He's got enough time to play those moves. Oh, prevented. He goes to a4 instead, and he gets the upset.
Wow, what a beautiful pattern with the two bishops stopping the white king from leaving the a5 and rook a4. Next move is checkmate, beating one of the strongest grandmasters in the world, Grandmaster Wesley. So number 6 in the world by classical rating, and Hulkmania has just taken him down. Wesley also extremely good at rapid and blitz, obviously, after the Champions Tour domination, where he was constantly battling it out with Magnus Carlsen at both rapid and blitz. This is an incredible performance for Hulkmania.
Yeah, Wesley was in first place in this entire arena. He's now in second place. So this is Tor Frederick Kossen's moment. Now, unfortunately for the Gnomes and for everybody else going up against St. Louis, I mean, it's amazing that you get to play against these people. It's amazing if you get to create a moment where you beat one of them. But if you look at the standings, St. Louis is still in first place. And basically, you have to do this for 2 hours. You have to, for 2 hours, every time you lose a game, you have to win a game. That's really so tough.
It is just such an incredibly strong field that there is no easy opponent. And you're playing for 2 hours nonstop. King of the nail here with the white pieces against Hikaru. So speaking of, there's no easy opponent. You're facing the 3,200 rated Hikaru, who is in the lead now on the individual standings.
Yeah, that's a heavy rating. It makes me think of like a giant capybara that's like 20 feet tall, weighs 3,500 pounds.
It does seem to be the case with that capybara. By the way, speaking of capybaras, Krikor was my co-host yesterday, and he told me that capybara is not just the very cute animal that they have in their logo, but it also in Portuguese refers to a patzer. So in chess, they would say a capybara is a player who is not that good. And they chose this name because they think it's funny that they are called the patzers.
That is funny. Hikaru's position doesn't look good, by the way. We just saw Wesley get upset. Might we see 2 upsets in a row? If so, we're going to need to know King of the Nil's name to give them their moment, of
Absolutely. That's Mahel Boyer, an international master from France.
Mahel Boyer. So basically, one of the things that I'm obsessed with in chess are color complexes. So I look at like the pawn structure, and then, all Black's pawns are on dark squares. Their bishop's on a dark square. White has an outpost on a light square. And I just sort of think, this is great for White.
And it is incredible to be able to play against these very strong grandmasters, the best of the best in the world. And as you said, David, even more incredible when you get the upper hand and you can play for a win. I'm just checking Mahel Boyer, international master with the rating of 2398. That's his FIDE rating. So this is perhaps his biggest challenge yet. And he is very close to getting a full point against his strongest opponent ever.
Yeah. Position looks nice. I liked that decision to play f4 actually and open up some more space on the king side, because some of Hikaru's pieces look a little tied up on the queen side. So it could make sense to, open another open space somewhere else, open another arena for the battle. Yeah.
The only issue.
Can he just take the pawn on d6 here?
Yeah, David, this situation just reminded me of a previous game where the lower rated player had a good chance against some of the top grandmasters. That you start calculating, you start looking for the best plans and options, and it takes time. And look at the time.
I see it now. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah.
I think Hikaru will win this. It doesn't matter that the position is still favorable for White, but he's running out of time and there's no increment.
White tries a little tactico there. Bishop against the rooks. The knight hanging. The knight looks like it might be able to get out through c4 in a second.
It's taking too long, unfortunately, for White. This blitz game without increment will be decided because of the time management.
Yeah, it's a clever move by King of the Nil, this queen f5 move defending the bishop. Is there anything wrong with just playing knight c4 for Hikaru?
Knight c4 and just telling, not even knight c4, but knight f3 check. The pawn cannot take it because of the pin. If the queen takes it, queen takes c5 wins the bishop.
So king h1, that makes sense. Now what's the next spot here? Or rook takes g2 doesn't work because of queen takes queen check. So knight h4 makes sense.
Now with the queen and the pawn on g2 hanging, White trades the queens and pushes b6.
He's got to.
And his position, according to our evaluation bar, is winning, but he only has 20 seconds to figure out how is it winning.
Yeah. So Hikaru is going for bishop a7, rook takes b7, and rook takes c3, just keeping the game going. And White chooses to keep the tension on the board. 14 seconds left. He's not going to be able to finish this game in time, I don't think.
No, it's way too low, even if the position still has some advantage for him.
And he resigns on the clock, obviously not on the board. He decides to spend those 8 seconds on his next game.
This was a great chance for King of the Nil, international master from France. But as we have mentioned, it takes time to figure out how to try to take down these final bosses of the game called chess. Hikaru is not an easy opponent.
Yeah. Here's Nepo on the warpath looking for a checkmate. His queen is all in. As you see, her retreat has been cut off by her own knight. she's only got one plan. It's to checkmate the king, and she's taking every square away from him. Just needs one more check to land to end this thing. Rook takes f6 or f7 is on the docket here. F pawn trying to get out of the way.
It's interesting how this is a very close to be mate for white, and I think he will achieve it now with the f file open, but it was also very close for that queen to be trapped. It has nowhere to go, the h6 queen.
Right. Like if this knight could go on g8 or something with the king, that would be a great defense. In fact, that would be a winning move even here.
Exactly.
Okay, so if rook takes f6 doesn't work, let's try 2 rooks.
I think that will be
they can't bring more.
Indeed, after c4, that last piece of white will come into the attack as well. And Yaponyashi, as we mentioned, is one of the latest players registered. Whoa, 5th rank counter defense attacks, attacking the knight on g5 or h4 kills it.
Nail in the coffin. Ouch.
Yeah, the Russia Wizards dominated the group stage, but they since have added Yaponyashi to the roster. This is going to be a race for the first place between the Wizards and the Archbishops. So far, the Archbishops in the lead. Top 3 matters here. Top 3 qualifiers to the semifinals. 4th and 5th place teams will fight against each other today at the end of our show in a knockout ladder match.
And that's the end of that one, folks. On knight g4. There's queen h7 to f7 checkmate. Just nothing to do. You got locked in there without any particular hope. So for St. Louis, their top players right now, Jeffrey, Wesley, and Theodoru, who we haven't given any screen time to. But is it time for our break on the hour? Is that normal?
I think our production team will soon let us know. I believe we will on that note take a short break, but don't go anywhere because still an hour. There's still almost a full hour left of this star-studded field where neither Fabiano, nor Hikaru, nor Wesley, nor Yaponyashi were on the top of the standing. Right now, I do see Hikaru on the 6-win streak, so maybe he's going to now hold on to it. But with 59 minutes to go, anything can still happen, and only the top 3 teams will qualify directly. So in a few minutes, we'll return with the rest of the arena for today's Pro Chess League quarterfinals. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be epic. Welcome back, everyone, to the show. This is the Pro Chess League quarterfinals with a brand new format. Also for this knockout stage, we are witnessing a 2-hour arena that is played with the time control of 3 minutes. No increment. We have the top 8 teams that have made it to this stage facing each other with their 6 players. Every team has 6 players in the arena. The top 3 teams will qualify directly to the semis, while the bottom 3, unfortunately, are saying goodbye. But the 4th and 5th place teams will be here with us for the after time with a knockout ladder match. David, how do you see so far the chances of your team? I think we've just witnessed that the California Unicorns are currently in 4th place and could play that ladder match.
Yeah, they scored a few points during the break. I think that overall, our goal is to go to that ladder match. Just based on the strength of like the St. Louis Archbishops and the Russia Wizards and the India Yogis, I think it would be pretty tough to crack into the top 3 and get that automatic qualification. So I think there's a very good chance that they could end up in that that ladder match to top the show off and my nerves. And Canada Chess Bras and Brazil Capybaras have been within 1 game or 2 games of the Unicorns throughout this time. Usually they've been 1 or 2 games ahead of the Unicorns. As I was noticing yesterday while covering it, sometimes it comes in waves, like 3 or 4 games finished for one team at a certain point. It doesn't mean you're actually ahead. The other team has 3 or 4 games that are about to finish, moments later. So you really need a lead of more than 10 or 15. You really need a lead of more than 10 or 15 points to say that a team has the lead.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of the teams and the players, obviously the games are underway. One of the newest additions to the field was Yaponyashi here with the white pieces, who suddenly is now in a better position. Earlier, it seemed he was in trouble against Jospem.
Yeah, this is a fun Najdorf kind of position. You see these a lot. Black's center pawns anchor their pieces on pretty good outposts. Sometimes white looks for pressure on the F file or the D file. It's very, very tricky. Sometimes black gets counterplay on the queen side. Sometimes you even play king A8, rook B8, E4, trying to crack something open. So it's a very, very tense position. And here comes Nepo making his play for the light squares in the center.
He wants that E6 pawn. He's undermining the defender, the F7 pawn. Rook takes C3, rook sacrifice to get that knight fork in. Obviously, if you take the rook, the queen will be captured on E2 after knight C3 check. Yeah.
So white has to just ignore this and say, hey, it's just a random pawn. I'll take the pawn in the center. And, the rook sack doesn't have a follow-up threat. So it's just basically it's just winning a pawn. And so white wins a pawn here. And I guess the position may still be somewhat close to equal, except black has to worry about queen takes, knight takes, having 2 pieces hanging. And if rook c7, maybe white has queen d6. So black has a worry here. Jospem has something to figure out.
He's trying to figure it out with 1 minute and 22 seconds on the clock. He brings the rook back to c7.
Yeah. Nepo takes the pawn. Why not? It also introduces the queen to the black king position, which is fairly open here. Pretty windy.
It feels like it should be a position that black can hold, but not with the time situation. And he makes a mistake immediately. Rook h6 leaves the back rank unguarded. Knight c6 now, and the king. Oh no! If king b7, there's knight d8. If king c8,
limited places to go. Oof. Gets chased out.
Beautiful. Nepo has obviously spotted it immediately. The way to win the queen, and now even more pieces.
Doesn't even take the bishop. He's seen all of it instantly long ago. Already seen it all.
That was an insane calculation, a sequence of 6-7 moves that Yaponyashi has spotted within less than a second. It felt like he knew it instantly. Once the opportunity was given to him, he took it. Now that means that Yaponyashi is in 2nd place among the individual scores that we are looking at, Hikaru is in first place. He's on an 8-win streak.
Yeah. And in the team standings right now, we see the Wizards and the Yogis tied exactly dead even, right? 134 to 134 for second to third place. And I think since all three top teams qualify, it's basically there's money on the line is the only difference between second and third place. Maybe some confidence. Oh, and the seeding.
The seeding, obviously, who will play against whom. We see
if you're the second seed, you'll get to play against the third seed. If you're the third seed, you'll have to play against the second seed.
Yeah, and then the colors, the price. You're right. There is a difference. Yeah. There is a difference, and Yaponyashi tries his best to score even more points in this remaining 48 minutes of the arena. We have the timer here up in the top right corner. You can see Nepo there streaming on his channel. You can check it out from his own perspective, and he's talking about his games, I believe, in Russian. Usually he streams in Russian, and he has a camera behind him too for all the Champions Tour and rest of the events where we require the double or triple camera from all angles. The players are monitored.
Yeah, he's played some high stakes games, has Nepo. So he's got all the equipment up, and it looks like he is in crushingly good position right here to me, except that he lost a piece. He's missing a piece. That's the problem with his position.
Is missing a piece, but
missing
even
one of his pieces.
Even like this, he has enough compensation, it seems, because if the knight leaves, all the pressure on that h3 pawn, the rook on the h5, plus the bishop and queen combo, also looking in the direction of the white king.
Wow. So white might just leave the knight on f5 and sort of hope that when they give back the piece, that their king will be sort of covered and they'll have a game to play.
That's what white is doing. And also if that knight on f5 is taken, white can take back with the pawn, and that will leave the e6 bishop trapped. I think that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
The bishop has nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's just trapped.
I'm not sure if
queen's attacked.
Nepo had to take that knight on f5.
I think white's still up a piece. Like... Probably considering knight e4.
Yeah, now it feels like Lars is doing really well.
If you could set up h4 and g5, like defending each other, that can be a pretty solid construction to keep the rooks from breaking through. Whoa, we get an exchange sack already. So h4 would not have helped against that. Knight comes in. So Nepo is down basically a rook. I mean, he's got a double pawn for it, but let's say a rook. And what? He thinks that long-term white just can't defend their king?
I think he knows that he shouldn't be doing well here. This is a lost position for Yaponyashi, but he has more time. So is he believing in the flagging chances here? Is that the case that he wants to win on time? I wonder. His opponent is Lars Hogan, an international master from Norway, but the position on the board is still just a piece up for white. Everything is guarded.
Right. D4, I think, was a strong move for white last move, allowing f3, trading another piece. I didn't see any reason not to do that. I think trading off bishops for white actually would reduce the danger to their king, get rid of the opposite colored bishops that create some more like attacking chances where suddenly you just can't cover, G3 or H2 or some kind of square because they have got a bishop you don't.
Yeah, he attacks the knight. The knight obviously leaves, offering a queen trade.
Yeah. Could have left on f4 and taken a pawn with it, but chose not to. Oh, there was bishop d4 he had to be worried about.
Oh, tricky position.
Still allowing bishop d4. He's got king f1. Okay. Okay. See how his king can't go on h2, can't go on g1 because of the opposite colored bishops, everybody? Yeah. That's a bit of a problem for white. It's keeping it awkward.
Yeah, Yaponyashi is showing us how to keep chances in a position that should be lost. So objectively, this should be lost, but it's not that easy to convert it because there are always tricks and tactics that white should be worried about.
Jesus, he's pushing white back as if he had the extra piece. Do you see him like every white piece back to the first rank?
He doesn't even repeat moves.
The weak pawn.
He could have repeated.
And didn't? So he's going to try to win this now.
He wants to win this. He didn't want that 3-4 repetition. He didn't even try to repeat it.
White's trying for queen B3.
And now apparently white
Black
is lost.
has to calculate rook F3, bishop F3, queen H4.
If knight takes queen H4 and then checkmate with a rook down, rook and piece.
Okay, so what's the follow-up now? Bishop G1, maybe? Try something else. Checkmate is third, and that allows queen H4. That's what Black's been trying to play this whole time, and that's mate in 1.
Wow, young Yaponyashi was down a piece and even down a rook for a couple of moves of this game and wins it as if he was off material. What a performance.
And I think I saw him just calmly making some comments to his chat, like, yeah, you know.
It's sometimes you gotta swindle it. It also counts. It counts as the same W for the team.
Yeah. Okay. Got Hikaru here. Still in first place. He's 10 points ahead of Nepo, who we just watched, 10 points ahead of Jeffrey Xiong and Wesley So. Wow, and then there's like a big gap. There's nobody else.
Yeah, it's
with
crazy.
Points like them. Is that another 10-point gap after Wesley?
It does look like that top 4 has 40 points or more and then 30 and below. Exotic Princess here trying to stop Hikaru's streak, who currently is on a 9-win streak for the Brazil Capybaras. Grandmaster Hikaru being the top performer. And this game, I think, is going to be Hikaru's 10th win. He's up a piece and is chasing the Black King.
Yeah, he's got this one. C-Pawn came down the board. Black couldn't stop it, so draw? No draw.
Definitely no draw.
The final rush of the Black King headed towards the White King.
Wait a second, the King has actually made it through. And and now Hikaru may need to repeat because his knight is stuck.
Bit low on time, not sure what to do. Queen G1, he'll find though.
Checkmate on the board. That is Hikaru's 10th win in a row. And as David explained, in the arena format, you get bonus, you get a reward if you are on a winning streak. So this is even more points now for Hikaru's team, which is the Brazil Capybaras. They are fighting for that 4th, 5th place. That will be the knockout ladder match for the qualification. But top 3 is the spot that everybody is dreaming of. That's the spot for qualifying directly.
Yeah, here we've got the top yogi at the moment, Pragnanda, but he's in a losing position this time. When we turn to this game, his opponent had 2 queens. He was just trying for some kind of back rank mate, but white gave away 1 queen and is going to replace the second one.
He is. It's GM Velimir Ivic from the Canada Chess Bros. And I think
pickup for them.
Pragnanda will resign.
Give up here. Wow. Well, that was a tough one for him, but overall his score remains fantastic. Let's check out who just went up. Oh, let's watch Ivic's next game, since Ivic has just moved up. He is the top chess bra, and he has just helped move the chess bras from 6th place up to 4th place, leapfrogging the unicorns and the capybaras. So let's check out Ivic. Maybe I'm wrong about him being the top scorer for his team, but I think he might be. He's at number 6 right now.
I think he is the best performing chess bra, which one wouldn't expect since they have higher rated players, but it is Ivic indeed here. Dr. Valia, his Chess.com username. He is the best player so far for the chess bras indeed.
Yeah. And so here he's playing Black against Sevian for the Capybaras. So these are 2 teams that are in direct competition for that spot in like 4th, 5th place, right on the cusp of that ladder match, 20 points out of reach of the yogis and assured qualification at the moment. And he's throwing some attack at the White King. Sevian with King G2 looking to be able to use his rooks along the 1st rank to cover the king side as needed. What's the next tool for Black here?
Indeed, how to get more of the Black pieces toward where the action is. That rook on A8 is not helping. I like the plan you're drawing. I like that rook lift.
Yeah, you find the piece that's not doing its share, right? And then see if it can't be nudged. Of course, Bishop b6, a famous maneuver for the whatchamacallit, the Sveshnikov, which I think this was some version of, an early e5 Sicilian, bringing the bishop around, but it costs black the pawn, right? And sometimes they say bad bishops defend good pawns. In this case, it was a bad bishop defending a bad pawn. Right? It's still your pawn. So let's see what comes. Does black have FG, rook takes f3 here? Oh no, black just took on c4, so it's white's move. Okay. Yeah, they couldn't allow queen takes bishop check. Okay, so white's move. I'm going to suspect that black's threatening FG and rook takes f3. That looks really strong to me.
Queen e7 apparently is not the best move, and
Okay.
black should have a killer attack here.
A killer, okay. Maybe rook f7, just winning a tempo on the queen to double. But he plays my idea of f takes
He
G3.
takes, and that seems strong enough. The evaluation bar is still shouting, screaming that black is completely winning.
Right. Whoa, there's a shout of a move. Bishop e2 right in the middle of his position here. Trying to break through to f2 with the rook. It looks pretty strong, but also pretty complicated. Stuff is hanging on the backside of this for black. They're kind of abandoning their position to head into white's position. Bishop f3 is a big threat from black, so white doesn't have a lot of choice, but spending some time figuring out what's coming next is Sevion.
Doesn't feel like there is a way to defend, even if he would go for something like knight f5 that just temporarily blocks the f5. So he takes the bishop, allowing rook f2.
Yeah, so now I've been thinking queen takes e3, and then in that position, g2 would be the big threat from black. Black plays it even with the queen attacked. He doesn't care.
Giving up the queen because he's got a new queen on h1 and wins the game. Dr. Velia here on fire for the chess bros.
What a threat that was. Ivic continues his streak, and he's moving up the individual standings here for the chess bros. He's got 34 points now. Wow.
That queen sacrifice was beautiful to get a new queen and checkmate in 2.
Yeah.
We are following Dr. Velia. Apparently, we are stalking him. Maybe we should switch to another game just so that he doesn't get uncomfortable.
Okay. We don't want to jinx him. Sometimes we've said this player's doing so great. Let's check out their game. Oh no, 2 queens for the opponent.
Hikaru, in the meantime, is on an 11-win streak. Grandmaster Bradley on a 3-win streak. And Tomaszewski is also climbing up the individual ladder, also on a 3-win streak.
Okay. I'm clicking on them. Hang on. My computer really wants to keep following Ivic around. Trying to stalk him.
Poor guy.
Like he's stalking that black king. It's being chased through the center while we try to get away and see Hikaru. But struggling to do that. Instead, we're gonna see if Anish Giri can draw a rook endgame.
This is the first game we follow today by Anish Giri. Unfortunately, not the best moment for us to tune in, knowing all the memes about how many draws Anish has played in obviously very strong events. And I believe it's an unfair use nickname meme, the artist that loves to draw, but that game was a draw. So sometimes it happens.
All right. Opponents of the Capybaras are asking us to quickly praise Hikaru as we switch to his game and try and jinx him. But he's up a solid pawn here against Super GM Vidit. But I just don't see any blunders in store for white. Fairly simple position with 15 extra seconds for Hikaru.
Yeah, the fact that there's no increment, even that 15-second time advantage is a big deal.
Quite a bit. Yeah, it's like in a classical game, of course, you'd be fighting for a draw for black, but if you've got no increment and you're looking at either you lose on the board or you flag, it's very hard to mount a real defense, I think.
It is extremely hard. I like the queen a lot on e5, obviously in a Korean game. The queen activity matters, so that's a beautifully placed queen.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Controlling the whole board from here. And, even when black attacks a3, they're not threatening it because they don't want to trade it for queen takes b5 and give a passed pawn, right? So, I mean, the best black's doing is just sitting and waiting. And I suppose white needs to bring in the king to win the game. And basically they can threaten two different things. They could try and bring the king to double attack the B pawn, or to like some square like G5 to start attacking the black king. Seem to be the two main plans.
Vidit is trying his very best to make up for the time disadvantage, but with the checks coming, it's going to be difficult to pre-move.
No progress just yet for Hikaru, but maybe he's got his eyes on the flag. He's only up 7 seconds now. That's a bit less. Now he goes for the queen trade and just converts into the king and pawn ending. Our bar goes crazy out of the corner of my eye.
Now it has jumped. You predicted
in that position
it,
after king h5, you have to play king d5 for black. You have to mirror the white king.
It's back and the time advantage is gone.
Wait, how is Vidit ahead on time? Hikaru's in danger of flagging now or something? What happened?
I cannot believe it.
I don't know what's going on. It should be a draw now, right?
It should be a draw now, but this game had it all. Now they are trading every piece.
And he takes everything off the board.
Hikaru disappointed because obviously he was up on the clock, but then the position got a bit more complex than what he perhaps was hoping for. And even in the king and pawn game, he had his winning chances.
Yeah, the point he wanted just didn't come through. Here we go to Theodoru, a super high scorer today. 29 points to his name so far. Doubled rooks on the e-file, claim a pawn. Wonderful time. Minle scrambling for any kind of anything here. And Theodoru's a little bit lower on time, but probably has enough to win this game over the board at this point.
Yeah, I believe so.
Still enough.
But he has to hurry up. Hikaru is still shaking his head. I'm taking a look at his stream for a moment. This draw, unfortunately for him, meant that his winning streak was broken. He was on an 11-game winning streak.
Costing him all his crazy bonus points.
Yeah.
And his capybaras have just dropped to 6th place at the moment. It's going to be such a tight race for 5th versus 6th. I think finishing 4th or 5th is not as big a deal for this group of 3 teams. The Unicorns, the Chess Bros, and the Capybaras that are probably going to get 1 spot in the semifinals on Thursday. Tomorrow's a rest day. But the fight for 5th versus 6th is going to be so close. You wouldn't think one draw from Hikaru after like 11 games in a row would like cost them, but they almost, I mean, they maybe need those points. How's Theodoru here?
Hikaru is their top scorer. Obviously, they were counting on those bonus points from Hikaru. It's so tough. It is really tough, but you're right that it's going to be between the 4th, 5th, and 6th place. The bottom 3, as you could see in our standings, it was marked with red. They are going to say goodbye. And Nico here with the white pieces could not win the game.
Just barely not enough time. And I'll just point out one little practical tip for all you blitzers out there. We saw wonderful times several times avoid a single rook trade in this endgame. With 2 rooks, there's more ways to keep like checking or setting up something where white needs to spend some time to figure out where they're going with their king or how to shelter it. If you go to a pure theoretical single rook endgame, then suddenly Theodoru knows some of those positions by heart, the way you might know an opening by heart. And so Minle avoided that long enough that Theodoru started saying like, well, gosh, I don't want to lose on time if he starts like avoiding all the rook trades, so instead of trying to queen my pawn, I just have to take a repetition here.
Better to take the draw than letting your time run out. Here we see with the white pieces yesterday's hero, Daniel Naroditsky, who won the match yesterday for the Unicorns. Can he do it again and outperform the Russia wizard, Yevgeny Tomashevsky?
Got bishop f5 coming here. I'm not sure why Tomashevsky chose to go in for that queen trade. Obviously, this endgame is still really close, but I don't feel like he had to do that. And here comes Dinah's g-pawn is just powered. Are we going to see rook takes g5? Because either that or kind of...
He cannot stop that pawn.
Yeah.
One thing was the piece.
You can move all your pieces in circles, but nobody can get to g7.
Daniel scoring yet another important win for the Unicorns. And now the Unicorns are in 4th place.
All right. Oh, here's another top player we haven't seen yet today. Raunak Sadwani of the India Yogis. Very, very strong player. These end games here, 2-on-2, are winning for the rook, but sometimes tricky to break through.
He does have more time, so I think he will just be very wise with the pre-moves and let the clock decide.
Rook takes d5 there, right? Because Sevian was expecting to check again. Rook g5 would have been good, but it's just about the seconds. But the thing is, Sadwani can always stop for a second and play a careful move if he wants to.
Yeah, he's got so much time still in comparison to the 2 seconds left for Sam Sevian.
And now the pawn goes. And Sadwani scores for the Yogis. And how's the race for first place going?
The third place is also out there. I was just going to say that the unicorns are very close to clinching the third place. David, your thoughts? We need your camera back. Ladies and gentlemen, the captain of the unicorns cannot believe how well the team is doing.
The standings just got completely shaken up. Anna, I mean, I was looking at the first place. Look at St. Louis, only 4 points ahead of the Russia Wizards. The Yogis only 2 points ahead of California. Where did California get those 20 points?
Well, your team is doing so well that we're going to need to take a break in order to digest this. David cannot believe it. You said your team would be happy on 4th or 5th, but now you might be 3rd soon. We shall see. Only half an hour is left. Half an hour will decide the fate of all these teams. Top 3 out of the 8 qualifies. Bottom 3 will say goodbye, and the 4th and 5th will play a knockout ladder match. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment to guide you through this final 29 minutes of the Arena Royale. David, I think you need a moment to just breathe and take it all in. You are doing well. The unicorns are doing well. Welcome back, everyone. This is the 2021 Pro Chess League, the quarterfinals, the final half an hour, less than half an hour. And what we have witnessed in the break is that David's team, the Unicorns, are now in third place, taking over the India Yogis. David, your thoughts?
Yes. I don't know where you're getting the points, but keep getting them. Go Unicorns.
Go Unicorns. The Archbishops are sailing through, and the Wizards are also comfortably right behind the Archbishops. But the third place has just been taken over by the Unicorns. The India Yogis are an extremely strong team, and I think they will fight for that third place. So this is not decided with 23 minutes to go. Anything can still happen. A reminder on the format: top 3 qualify, bottom 3 will say goodbye, and the 4th and 5th team will play a knockout ladder match against each other for that one final qualification spot to the semifinals. This is a really exciting format with the top chess grandmasters fighting today.
Oh my gosh, Eric Hansen, the
What,
leader of
for a second,
the Chess Bros.
Oh, the time.
White didn't have enough time for that absolutely insane blitz off with Romain Edouard, I think is Muggsy. All right, let's check out some games of the Yogis. Let's go back to Chitambram. Vati coming against Fandorin. Chigayev for the Wizards, very strong. Wait, why did the queen go?
Both his gambit must have been played at some point, and that pawn I don't think will be enough to compensate, unfortunately, for Vati.
Queen E7, maybe. It's a little tricky to convert from black. You don't want to play F4 at the wrong time or E3 at the wrong time and let the light squared bishop out. Right now, it's very nice that bishop's kind of contained. But now with the rook on H7, how do you get control of the D pawn? You have to play like Queen G6 and King E6 and take all the squares on the 7th rank from the rook. The bishops come out from G2. It's in the game now.
I thought that the D pawn wasn't enough to compensate, but White is proving me wrong. Chitambram here creating all the chances against the Black King and also keeping his pass pawn very well protected, but there's no time. 17 seconds versus 18.
Chooses to retreat the bishop, and there kind of goes the advantage, I think. Oh, well, that's great. That's really great for White. Trying to threaten a little back rank mate. No, thank you, says White. Oh, there goes some pawns over there.
But the queen is still so active and picks up the rook.
Oh, Vati. Oh, Vati. Oh, Chitambram. Who's going to flag? Who's going to flag?
Oh,
he
no,
took the rook. White pre-moved, moving away. That was devious.
No. He pre-moved
and there's Nate from Chigayev, who is personally right around number 10 overall in the current standings. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's going so fast.
Speed of light here with the
white pieces. Speed of light here.
For the Unicorns versus
Nakamura.
Queen.
Nakamura had an extra rook, but was pre-moving.
Oh my.
And now White gets the queen. And I've heard you don't even try and checkmate in these positions. You just try and move your queen to different squares so Black's pre-moves don't go through. But White is finding the checkmate.
Checkmate, and he did it with 1 second on the clock against the world champion challenger, Yaponyashi. What a
big
game.
Points for the Unicorns. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Look
All
at
right.
your team go.
All right. The other leader of the Chess Bros, the rating leader. We saw their boss man, Eric Hansen. Now here's Anish Giri working on the D5 square against Samuel Sevian of the Capybaras. These two teams are currently in a close battle, 1 game apart for that 5th place spot and a chance in the ladder match.
So close with only 19 minutes left. This is everyone. Like I'm guessing maybe not everyone. I must say the French Roosters perhaps are out of competition. Unfortunately, they are too much behind. But in terms of the Capybaras, so close to the Chess Bros, the Unicorns now in 3rd place, but the Yogis trying to catch up at the same time. The winning streaks, that matters so much, David. The players that are doing well, they get rewarded for the winning streaks. So it will matter whose winning streak can stay on, keep going, and whose one will be broken.
Right. 1 or 2 more wins for some of the players with big streaks are going to be more important than anything else anyone else does. And this is maybe an unfair question because my answer would be, I have no idea. But do you have any idea which of these teams you think is going to finish in 4th, 5th, 6th? Do you feel like any of these teams has like a better initiative or something at the end of the 2 hours?
I feel like the Unicorns have been very impressive with Danya and Jabava scoring extremely well for the California team. And we are not being biased here, obviously, David and I, absolutely not rooting for any team in particular. So I think the Unicorns will qualify, but for 4th and 5th, I'm predicting the Yogis for sure. And maybe the Capybaras, since they managed to do it last time, they will somehow clinch it again. But the Chess Bras are ahead, and Anish here with the white pieces should be able to win this and continue with his streak. It's such a tough question. I'm gonna throw this question to our viewers. I think they should be able to tell us who's gonna be the teams qualifying top 3. Tell us about it, and which teams will finish on 4th, 5th that will play a knockout ladder match right after today's arena. I'll say this much. I think I'm just gonna refresh my camera.
I think I'll say this much. I think everything you said was just spot on. I mean, you said that Anish has a good chance of winning this game. I agree. You gave an answer of who you actually thought would win, and I think that was really good too, because I would have just said I don't know. So any answer is much better than that. And
it just left me in a thinking pose. I don't know what's wrong with my camera because I see myself moving in OBS, but apparently Zoom is not taking it. I'll be back in a second, David.
Yeah, I see you moving. I think you're good.
Wait. It was only frozen on my screen?
No. It was frozen for a second, but you're good now. As Anish aims for Queen H5. I don't see how to stop it for Sevion. That could be a big point, or I should say 5 points maybe for the Chess Bras. As the Queen approaches the King, he looks for checkmate. The Queen will be hanging if Bishop D8, but sometimes C2 saves the game at the end. No, it doesn't. Konevets resigns.
And Anish wins. That was a very important point for the Chess Bras. I believe Anish is wearing the Chess Bra hoodie just to add to the team spirit. With it here with the white pieces, unfortunately breaking the streak of Jabava.
Looks like the game has just ended, even though it still showed up as a game to click on, but it looks like the H-pawn is promoting and Jabava probably just resigned. So let's check out Tomaszewski versus Krikor. Nope, that also looks dead. I'm also guessing that has a resignation that we haven't seen yet. So let's check on Jospim, also winning here for the Yogis. Big point for them.
This is tough.
V Pranav also losing. Why are all the games I'm looking at looking like games that are done?
Everything is happening so fast. We need to catch the action, but it's not easy. 15 minutes and 42 seconds left, ladies and gentlemen. This is the final 15 minutes of the Arena Royale of today.
So close. Okay, back to a live position. This is Hikaru Nakamura, leader of the Capybaras with white. His team needs a couple more games from him. One last streak, Hikaru. Can you win 2 or 3 games in the last, 15 minutes of the arena, perhaps? That would be what the doctors ordered. Big Fish, his former teammate, Fedoseev from last year on the Marshals, cut off on the F file.
Fedoseev is playing from, and if we'll be viewing on his camera, or is it just for our own viewing? He must be playing from a very social place.
Yeah. What is he doing? Playing the flute? Hitting.
As if he could hear us, he started smiling the moment we mentioned that he might be playing from a club and playing the flute, as you said, David. I think that's what's happening.
Playing the flute while some dry ice goes off on stage, and he plays blitz chess with his feet and
wow.
Excitement.
These grandmasters just never stop surprising us. Grandmaster Jabava gave an incredible performance with singing and dancing with disco lights on when his games ended, and Fedoseev too wants to join in on the fun.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And can he compete with Hikaru while playing in a club? He so far has a real position. He's down a pawn though, so he has to show some compensation. There's a couple pawns sort of semi-hanging from white he explodes the center for his rook. The white rook has been sort of like babysitting the A pawn just now, so it's not yet fully deployed. White's bishop looks better than black's. I mean, I favor Hikaru's position, I think.
I think so too, and because of the social plays, Fedoseev is playing from. Some of our viewers started guessing whether he's even playing from a phone or a tablet. I sure hope for him that he has a laptop at least, and maybe a mouse, or is it a trackpad?
It's unbelievable, yeah. He's got some equipment with him. As we look at the standings, it looks like St. Louis is pulling ahead of Russia again. California Unicorns are closing in on Russia more than they are falling back into fourth place. They've just crested 200 points. Yogi's 187, Chessbrah's 160, Capybara's 154, just one streak game behind the Chessbrahs. And oh yeah,
so close.
We have to mention briefly the tiebreak rule, right? If two teams have exactly the same points at the end, like let's say the Capybaras scored 6 points, tied with the Chessbrahs 160 to 160, we would go to the individual standings and look for the top player in each of those teams. We would compare Hikaru with 64 points to Dr. Velia with 36. And of course, anytime it comes down to just one player, the Capybaras win because they have Hikaru.
Well, it seems that's a good final boss to have, but Fedoseev wants to show that he can stop him. I don't know. I don't really believe in his position. And at the same time, 95 wasn't the best move for Hikaru, according to the evaluation bar.
Wow. In terms of Queen D3, Queen G4, I guess that was sound just barely. Queen G2, F2, F1 was unstoppable. Wow. So Big Fish throwing the pieces at Hikaru very confidently here. Bishop on F6 is hanging. Will he sack that one too or trade it? Maybe Bishop D4 to add a passed pawn to the mix.
Taking, I think Fedoseev now with this position, it's his last chance to mess it up.
Here's a possible blunder. Rook G1, Bishop F2, Rook G4, Rook D1. Right? If you try and get fancy, like bring out that last piece, go for a queen trade because you're up a piece, and then back rank mate. Hikaru thinking. He's got a 20-second lead too, as well as the knight. He's got Queen C5 check is playable as well.
He plays
right,
Queen
followed by
G1.
Rook to G1. Queen C5 looks.
And now he's noticed. So he plays
it.
Queen J1 first and then takes. I think he calculated this move order to make sure that there were no tricks for black. It's just to play it as safe as possible. Now? And now it's checkmate for white, not the black attack succeeding.
There's a big point for the Capybaras.
Very important because as you said, streaks matter, and Hikaru is now starting a new winning streak.
Checking in on Dr. Velia. He's still going. He's just getting started. Let's see some game that's further along so we can predict who's going to get any points there. We've got, let's go back to Eric Hansen. We've seen very little of the leader of the Chessbrahs today, even though he's having a great game. No, it won't let me click on him. I click on Anish. No. Let's see if I can find them over here. Sorry, here's Anish.
Who has just won
that game is
against...
That's the old game. We've seen that before.
We have seen this. I was like, is he playing again against Sevian in the same position? Exact same end
impossible.
Game. Wow.
All right, here's Hansen
here with the white pieces. Oh,
there's Velia. There's Prana. There's blup, blup, blup. Oh, all my clicks just came through at once. And Anish Giri seems to have just won a game on time, right? White resigned to save their last 0.1 seconds for the Wizards.
Yeah.
Anish Giri was just going to flag him here.
No time for white.
Giri with the flag. All right, back to Hansen. The captain, the big man, with a nice knight on e4 and some kingside weaknesses to work on. And Andrew Hong, who has beaten Nepomniachtchi today, says, I'll have the B pawn, please. Then he's going to trade queens off the board and just say kingside weaknesses. Who cares, right? Oh my goodness. Andrew Hong is doing fine here against the leader.
Doing very well. Speed of flight, Andrew Hong was a key player for the Unicorns in the group stage as well. And today too, he has proved that he can produce quite many upsets against higher rated opponents.
Yeah. The Unicorns are going to need it because they haven't scored any points in the last 6 minutes. I don't know if you've noticed, their score is the same, frozen.
Oh, now 3 points have been added. Just when you called them out on not scoring, they were like, oh, the captain is watching. We better hurry up.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Yogis are coming on strong. And the Yogis have a lot of capable players, a lot of firepower. So hopefully Andrew Hong can hold up here.
I was just going to add that Nihal Sarin from the Yogis is on a 3-win streak. The bigger that streak, the better for the Yogis. So
yeah,
with 8.5 minutes to go, there's still a lot at stake. Oh,
he just won another one. And I noticed that both Hansen and Andrew Hong have sort of like by agreement decided to play this like a bullet game instead of a blitz game, because with 8 minutes left in the arena, right, you'd rather get 3 games in that are bad than like 1 good game in, right? So they are both playing this game in 1 minute instead of 3.
Do you think that's just like by how the...
and look at that. They get 1 point and they save the 4 minutes and they go on to the next game, right?
Wow, that was smart by both players to just move on to the next one, try to get another win or 2 in before the time runs out. Because what's going to happen in 7 minutes and 42 seconds is that the games will be aborted. So the players can only score for the next 7.5 minutes.
Well, here's Nihal Sarin. And unfortunately for him, as far as him continuing his streak, he's now up against World Championship challenger Yaponyashi, who's throwing pieces at his king. It's a little worrisome.
It looks worrisome. It looks very worrisome with the activity of the white pieces. Now the king crawls back to g8, but there's also more space for white in h6.
Covering up a little bit. Oh, you can't take that bishop. Because of queen f7.
My queen
but
f7,
he survives
queen
it.
g7 mate.
He survives it.
Have been.
Wow. And he is doing fine. I mean, the computer bar disagrees with me, but what a defense by Sarin, right? I mean, he didn't get checkmated. He didn't use any time off his clock.
Yeah, and that's important. That matters to try to hold on. I'm also just quickly looking at the streaks. Nico Theodorov and Jeffrey for the Archbishops are doing very well. Hikaru started a 2-win streak, and if he keeps going, then the Capybaras will have a chance for the 5th place. Everything will depend on this final 6.5 minutes. Okay.
Well, I think Sarin's got a chance here, but we're going to have to keep moving and see how everybody else on the teams is doing, right? So let's check out a Capybara. Maybe who else is supporting Hikaru here? Who else is going to bring the points for the Capybaras? Does Sevian have anything going in his?
Yes, Sevian will be the 2nd among the Capybaras, and Krikor is 3rd. Or no, Fear is 3rd. Fear
the hero from before. See, sometimes when I click, it's not going as fast as I want to when I click. Sorry about that.
It's all right. There's so many games to follow, David. Take your time.
It's giving us a chance to see Nepo showing some top technique here, right? Creeping in slowly with his queen and knight, and actually winning the game. So, okay. Please let me open another game, please.
Jan Yaponyashi has been doing very well. This is actually his 4th win in a row. That counts for the Russia Wizards. They cannot take over the Archbishops for the 1st place, but they are in a very safe 2nd place for now, it seems. The Unicorns and the Yogis, that is a huge battle for the 3rd place. With a 3-point difference and 5 minutes to go, anything can still happen.
And here's Sadwani for the Yogis, but actually in a tough position against Jeffrey Xiang, who has just absolutely been on fire today, right? I mean, 57 points, 4th place so far. And he's got 2 rooks against the queen. Raunak is going to look for a perpetual here to try and score 1 point really quickly for the Yogis right here. And let me tell you one dirty trick that Georg told me about in this kind of an arena. At the very end of the arena, you can play knight f3, knight f6, knight g1, knight g8, knight f3, knight f6, knight g1, knight g8 draw again and again and again against other opponents if they do the same thing with you. And you can score more points that way than by being on a winning streak when it comes down to the last 4 minutes of this kind of a competition.
For real? Oh my, what a dirty trick.
Yeah.
Do you think anyone will do it in today's tournament?
I don't know.
Seen it.
But I know that this point right here could cement things for the Unicorns. If Exotic Princess could beat Hikaru right here.
It is not an easy task. Joe Baba needs to take down the final boss.
Yeah.
Hikaru is the leader.
Yeah, I guess it's not
individual
winning
standings.
anyway. It's just draw. They should agree to a draw and move on. Okay, back to just agreeing to quick draws. No more blood to be had.
That
all
draw
right.
though breaks Hikaru's winning streak, and that matters for the capybaras. The yogis are 4 points behind the unicorns. 4 points with 3.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, here's Sarin. He moved on quickly from that loss. And bishop takes d4 from Van Foreest because of knight f4. Van Foreest is still playing chess. He is not just trying to blitz out some quick draws.
No more draws.
This is hell for the yogis. They don't want Sarin stuck in this game for another 3 minutes of suffering, right? At some point, he's going to have to decide, do I just resign another game to try and score points? Or do I sit here for 3 minutes getting tortured by this chess bra?
Yeah, he probably should try to move on to the next one, but there's only 3 minutes left. So would he even have time to finish another game?
Right. 96 was possible. Doesn't go for it. Now does. It looks like
it's a 1 point difference. David, look at the standings. Unicorn on 220, Yogis on 219. 1 point difference for the third place. And that's the qualification spot. That's the qualification spot. Okay. One more point has been added. Don't worry. One more point has been added, David. So it's already 3 points. No, 2 points.
If it's only 1 point, then it's some of these quick games, maybe. I mean, if it's 1 point at a time, it means a lot of people are just making draws here, right?
Back to 1 point. The yogis have just gained another point.
Okay, 2 minutes left. I'm trying to click on other games like my producer asked me to, but it just doesn't work. I click and nothing happens. So, I'm doing what I can, clicking on some boards.
This is an exciting game, though, because Nihal, as you said, it was stuck in this game. He is trying to save it. He's trying to save it, but it's just such a difficult situation. And with only 2 minutes to go, if he were to resign to start a new game, he probably cannot finish that new game. So his only chance to score was to try to save it.
Danya and Prague are stuck together. They're making the same 1 point against each other. That's not going to change anything for the standings for those two teams. Unless Danya chooses to flag him, right? He's got 20 extra seconds. Yeah. So I suppose he could be trying to do that to get a couple points more right there. If I click this.
And the yogis and the unicorns are on 221 points each tied.
No.
Which currently would mean good news for the yogis because Nihal Serene has more points than Danya.
Okay, that game is agreed to a draw. Here are Hansen and Georg Meyer with. Is this position worth playing out for them? We've got 58 seconds left.
222
They're
points.
Probably going to agree to a draw soon too. I think the yogis and unicorns might have about the same number of draws at the end here. Every second matters.
Every second and every draw matters because every draw adds 1 point to the score.
Queen h4, there's queen e8. So Georg is thinking some precious lost seconds.
The yogis are 1 point lead.
Yogi's taking an extra point. They're making the draws. Georg, you're the champion of the draws. I'm sure he's offered it, but Hansen wasn't interested this time. He's trying to torture him, but he could never win this game in 24 seconds.
Oh my, the unicorns have taken over. Someone has won.
Somebody actually won a chess game here? Are you kidding me?
Won a chess game.
How is that possible in a chess tournament?
Breaking news with 12 seconds to go. The unicorns have a 2 point lead. And the reason why we care so much about that third place, because the top three will qualify directly, while the fourth place is not guaranteed. Fourth and
every
fifth
game I'm clicking on is a draw. Let's close these.
And
Arena is over.
It's over. It's
third place goes to the unicorns, Owen. And congratulations to St. Louis.
Bring the camera back on, David. Bring the camera back on. We need to see the celebration. David was going crazy.
Congratulations to the St. Louis Archbishops on a very, very powerful performance today. They came through with the entire American Olympiad team, more or less, on board and managed to win by a decisive 48 points over the Russian Wizards, another heavyweight in the Pro Chess League. And there you have it, folks. It's been a great battle.
Did you do that, David? So composed, like going crazy. For your team, the unicorns that qualified, top three qualifies, bottom three says goodbye. Unfortunately, among the teams that say goodbye is Hikaru's Capybaras. the Norway Gnomes, as well as the French Roosters who were missing MVL today. It's true, but still it is a strong team. The two teams that will be fighting now, don't go anywhere. This is just the beginning of the second phase. India Yogis and the Canada Chess Bros will fight it out for the one remaining qualification spot in a knockout ladder match starting in a few minutes. This has been insane. That battle for the third place, we cared about it so much because that's the difference. One team, the Unicorns, is guaranteed in the semifinals, while the Yogis will need to now face the Chess Bros, and the knockout ladder match means that they need to face in a different format and different time control a very strong team, with the final was being Anish Giri sitting on the top board.
3+2 now. 4 versus 4. They pick 4 of their 6 players from today. Probably the people who are doing the best today, but who knows? The manager can pick whatever they want. 4 players to go in, 3+2. The 2-second increment can change it. You know, like yesterday, I had to think about this, and maybe your player who's in 6th place, if you add the 2-second increment, they're going to be your stronger player. But they're going to go 4v4 in a ladder match in just a moment. And one of those two teams will qualify. One won't. One of those teams we'll see again on Thursday for the semifinals. And will we see you again on Thursday for the semifinals?
I don't know, and I think I'm not going to be here for the knockout ladder match because it's a bit late in Europe, but I'm going to be replaced by someone who used to have green hair and who knows David very well. Those are the 2 clues I'm going to give to you guys to guess who's going to be David's co-host for the
green-haired people in my life. My son was a carrot for Halloween last year. Is it my son?
Maybe. That would be epic. How old is your son, David?
3. He turned 3. He was 2 when he was a carrot.
Qualified to be a chess commentator. Qualified. We'll be back in a few minutes. David will be back with the former green hair co-host. And this is going to be an epic battle between the India Yogis and the Canada Chess Bros fighting for one qualification spot. Don't go anywhere.
And welcome back, everybody. We are getting ready for the exciting conclusion of today's quarterfinals, a ladder match between the Canada Chess Bras and the India Yogis. Welcome, Kostya.
Hey,
How are
David,
you doing?
thanks. I'm doing great. I was just watching the unicorns on the California stream, and yeah, we're very pumped to have made it through. It's going to be very exciting now, this playoff match between India and Canada. I'm very happy California is not playing, so we can just like focus on the match.
You and
I'm
me
sure
both.
you are too.
You and me both. I can finally enjoy it. I know that this ladder match is one of the most exciting things ever. People loved it when they implemented it for the playoffs in past PCL seasons, and I just couldn't properly enjoy it yesterday when my team was playing. So yeah, looking forward to that today. Another thing to look forward to, folks, is tomorrow evening, Winner Stays, hosted by Grandmasters Daniel Naroditsky and Amon Hamilton. It returns September 22nd, tomorrow. This monthly event pits content creators of different chess levels head-to-head for their portion of the $3,000 event prize, plus a chance at an additional $3,000 if they win their match in 3 consecutive events and retire to the Pantheon. Will Jose Martinez be the second player ever into the Pantheon? Tune in tomorrow to find out. All right, and here you guys can see which teams are headed towards the playoffs right now.
Yeah, so it was old St. Louis. They just like ran away with it. Then you had Russia. They were doing, I think they were in second pretty much the whole time. And then actually, yeah, I was very surprised when California managed to like sneak into third, just kind of towards the end. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe India just started off super, super fast and then slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so these 3 teams are going to be advancing. And I guess the other 3 are unfortunately eliminated.
Yeah, Gnomes, Roosters, and unfortunately the Capybaras, who made an incredible play with Hikaru, with Sevion, with Krikor, with Fier. They won a ladder match before. If they'd had just a couple more points and been in 5th place here, they would have gone into the ladder match here and would have had a great shot, but we will not be seeing them anymore in this little mini PCL Arena Royale season. Here are the prizes that are at stake. 20,000 versus 1,000. Which one would you take?
I'll take 1st place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting choice.
That would be my choice. Yeah.
That would be Kostya's choice. And yeah, between 4th and 5th place, it's a difference between 5,000 and 3,000 at least. So that's the minimum difference for whichever team here, the Yogis or the Chess Bras, can advance from this ladder match. Of course, you advance from the ladder match, there's nothing preventing you from getting 1st or 2nd place as well eventually. So a lot on the line for these 2 teams here. And, you know, if it comes down to the last 1 or 2 players on the teams, that's going to be a lot riding on a single game, single blitz game. Here's the first of those high stakes blitz games kicking off right now.
Very cool. So board 4 of this match, we have Vidit against Jordan. And yes, you're just explaining to me, it's basically each team chose 4 players and now they are ranked in order of how they performed in the day's arena.
Right. By FIDE rating, Vidit would actually be the top player for India here today, well over 2,700. But today, the teenagers were the leaders of the Indian team. That's not actually a huge surprise in Blitz because Sarin, Pragnanda, and Sadwani are powerhouses in Blitz chess.
They're just always crushing it in Untitled Tuesday. They're very impressive. And then the Chess Bros, they have this like incredible team. They have Eric Hansen, of course, the original, then Jordan Van Forest, Anish Giri, super, super strong, and then Velimir Ivčić on board 1. It's just amazing. This is the player that improved the most during the pandemic. We now know for sure it was Ivčić. Like
certainly a huge candidate for that. I mean, we saw him at the World Cup, for those of you who also watch classical chess. And, you know, his over the board classical game and rapid game are both hugely improved. His blitz, obviously, as well, in great form. He was up near the top of the standings throughout, facing, you know, super GMs in many of his games. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it comes down all the way to Ivčić and Sarin. That would be pretty exciting.
Yeah. So what happens in case of a draw here, David?
In case of a draw, both board fours would be knocked out. The only situation where a draw doesn't knock out the players is if it comes down to Sarin and Ivic, like we were just saying, possibly it could. That match, you would actually have to win to knock out the other team's board 1. But if it's a board 3 or a board 2 playing a board 1, they can knock them out with a draw. It's only if it's so equal that it's down to 1 versus 1. If they draw, they get some number of rematches before eventually going to a bullet game. And on the board, what do you think of the position so far between Vidit and Van Foreest?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like this kind of very classic Catalan. So I'm sure Vidit is very comfortable here because he plays these positions a lot. And I imagine Van Foreest has seen some Catalans as well. My feeling is that white is probably going to be slightly better here, especially like this 9 on d7, kind of lacking some good squares, and this pawn on b4 might be kind of weak.
He's getting controlled pretty well, this steed. And b4 is a potential weakness. So we see this steed trying to improve while both covering b4 and maybe giving white their own thing to worry about on a5. And as you said, I assume that Van Foreest is very comfortable with this position as well. And overall, I would say neither player has like a bad position. Sometimes I look at a game, it's like both players have bad positions, but oops.
Ooh, oh my God, look at his reaction. Wow, we got the camera right on. Oh man, he just woke up.
Vidit was ready for that.
Yeah,
Vidit was ready for that. I mean, he captured that piece in, I want to say 0.1 seconds or so, basically.
Yeah, he just like knew it was coming. He just felt it. Wow, Vidit, such a killer. I want to say pre-moved queen takes c4, but that might have been too much.
It was close to that. And if he had pre-moved queen c4, what a story that would be, right? And let's say black didn't play rook c4 and you say queen c4 played and you're like, he was so confident that he pre-moved it. Even though if you're up a rook, you don't need 2 minutes and 8.9 seconds. 2 minutes and 8.8 seconds would be enough to finish the game off. But there's first blood drawn.
Wow.
1 chessbrah down, 3 chessbrahs left. And stepping into the breach will be Eric Hansen. Is that the right order?
Yeah, Eric's going to be up next.
All right, there he is. Ready.
And
ready.
Yeah, another very high level game. No, Vidit could easily just like go through their whole roster here. I mean, he's capable of just winning every single game. The guy is just so strong and so fast. I don't know.
He's showcasing his speed on queen takes rook. Yeah, no, it's not over, chessbrah fans, obviously. Yesterday, California lost the first game in this 4v4, and then they came back. So just as, Vidit could run the table and not need his team, I mean, Hansen could just run the table and not need his team. At any point, someone could get on a streak.
Yeah, I mean, right. And it looks like, I just noticed they're actually playing 3+2.
Yes.
Or are they playing? Okay, so they are playing with increments. So it's not going to be as volatile as like the 3-0 in the arena. No, I mean, of course, Eric is strong enough to just win everything. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then they have Giri. So like they're going to have to get through Giri somehow to win this match. So
right.
It will not be easy.
I predict that the way to get through Giri is to draw him.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's always a tactic you can use when you're ahead. If you draw the game, both players are out. It's like simplifying. You get like, you'd rather have a 2v1.
Exactly. You just trade off your board 3 for their board 2.
Wow. Well, do you think Vidit would do that for the team? Sacrifice him? No, I think he would try to beat Nani.
I think if he gets through Hansen, he might try and draw Giri. Why not? That puts you in a 3 versus 1 situation. Although once you've won 2 games in a row, you're really feeling yourself. So then you're like, I'll just take them all.
Yeah. Maybe you can kind of play it safe, and that, okay, if it comes down to a minute, you don't have to like go for crazy risks. You can try to make a draw. At least it is actually much more stable with the increment. Like you're not just going to get flagged in an equal position.
Yeah. Okay, so interesting situation here. I've seen this position a little bit more recently. I used to think white had like a nice advantage, and then I tried playing this position as white against the computer for a little bit of like practice, trying to get better at the structure, and I couldn't do anything. Like black was always had all the answers for their position, like it was like, oh yeah, the G2 diagonal doesn't do anything. Who cares if it's open? Oh, a knight on E5, whatever. Computer dodged out of everything. But I was thinking that white would play H3 to not give black a chance to play like queen c8 or queen d7 and establish the bishop on that square.
Oh, I see.
And that much at least did happen.
Now he has some time here. Vida not very afraid of like rook takes e6, which I would be in a blitz game. But that takes a lot of guts to make this kind of move. Like
knight g5, queen d7. Yeah. Vida's looking very confident. I mean, 237, he like knows his setup. And this kind of time usage from Hansen, I would say, shows not being confident, right? He's feeling projected confidence from Vidit, and that's like making it harder for him to just move.
Yeah, he was like choosing between moves there, right? Because a4, like he could have played immediately, he could have played king h2. He was, just clearly kind of calculating something there. But now he finds some idea. He goes bishop to g5. And I wonder, is the plan to trade? Yeah, he just trades, and he wants to
trade all the light squares.
Put everything on the light squares. I think is a good strategy for blitz. I feel like it's very simple to play.
And look at that bar for a second, the computer bar just sort of like spitting in my face again, because this is exactly like the kind of thing I tried to do as white. I'd be like, trade the light squared bishops, put my queen on f3, knights on c4 and e4. I've got a positional advantage. And right as you do it, like the evaluation dips for black. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe knight b4 has happened to me too at some point, and then it was just kind of an Achilles heel. You don't want the queen just sitting here babysitting c2.
Yeah, I mean, knight b4 actually very awkward move for white, because the one piece is going to be just tied down to this square. I was kind of expecting rook c1. Kind of surprised by knight a3, but maybe rook c1 didn't like something there, like bishop g5. Yeah.
Maybe knight a2, simplifying knight a2, knight b4.
Who knows? Maybe. Yeah. Because if you're white here, you not really happy with the draw.
Oh, that's what Hansen's doing. He's picking the cheapest piece to be the babysitter. That's why he retreated his knight to a3. I was like, oh no, a retreat. But that's all it is. He's just saying, okay, these two pieces are out of the picture. And then he goes back to queen f3, knight e4. You
can kind of improve everything. You can put a rook on e2 now and then use that piece. And then the knight can come back to c4 one day. So, he's like slowly. Yeah, I feel like we both kind of feel that this position is just easier for white in the long run. With
good, but I want f5. Am I too greedy? I want my knight on f5. Can I play g4? You're gonna tell me no, right?
Yeah, well, black might be thinking about f5 as well.
Yeah, that's true. I could play g4 and black plays f5. Then I've weakened my king and I never even got the knight to f5.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is big moment for white here. He has to make a decision somewhere.
Well, he's going to gain a little confidence from the fact that Vidit has caught up with him on the clock, right? That he played good enough moves to force Vidit to use his resources there.
Yeah.
So
let's see what's happening. Rook e6. And he's kept his rook on the a file the whole time. He's like hasn't put it on e1 like you would expect. And now, it's like you never want to play c3, of course. That's way too weakening. But white has to just kind of do something. Okay, rook c1.
Overprotecting the baby. This c2 pawn better be grateful, but usually they're not. When you do all this taking care of a little one, they just start to take it for granted. The c2 pawn's like, yeah, it's all about me. Of course, 2 rooks just to tend to my every whim. Normal.
Oh, and there Vida, he just had he was threatening f5 there, and rook takes e2. So white went king f1 to get out of the pin and defend the rook in advance. And there he goes c3. So he's just had enough of this knight. Eventually you just have to kick it.
Well, that knight did its work, and it's still on a good square. The position overall is looking pretty good for Vidit. He goes for a tactic.
Ooh.
A simple tactic. That's good. We don't need to calculate too long. There's a pawn.
Man. Yeah, and Eric's upset about that. Unfortunate.
Grim, what can I do? This guy is 27-30.
Man.
Got all the answers.
Everything.
Yeah. This is what it was like playing against the computer, Kostya. It's like I've got knights on good light square outposts. I got my rook on the file, and then I don't know. You just can't do anything. It's like the e7 bishop doesn't look good, but somehow it just hung around and black's position was fine.
Yeah.
Oof, feeling a little grim for Chessbra right here.
It's tough, but you know, he still has this increment. So as long as he
Yeah.
doesn't flag, there's
Right.
always going to be like some possible chances.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
yeah, we've seen some like insane swindles. So Vidit has to stay very calm here and just like, yeah, just slowly convert, just open everything up, and he should get the win.
Vidit is just like all over this. He's like, he's in control, and he's also playing like sufficiently aggressive moves, right? He's not in like keep it simple mode, nor is he doing crazy risks. It's like aggressive and correct.
No, he's playing like much better than I play in classical, like much better.
Okay, and he chooses to let the e-pawn live, and that's a little bit of hope for Hansen. And you see Vidit hesitating, not sure about the queen trade. Position's a little bit messy, but again, he spots a spot.
Just going for like killing ideas. Exactly. Ooh, queen e6.
Yeah, h4 was good, had to be played. What's the idea now? Rook d2.
Now rook d2 is gonna kill. Oh wow, surprised he didn't.
Check, and he wants to go to g4, but then there's queen e3. If knight g4, then there's rook to d2.
Yeah, rook d2 was a big threat as well.
Yeah, and the white king's feeling really weak. You see they each have the same kind of like two pawns. It's a question of like which pieces can get to which king. And black central activity is the advantage. Oh, and he's got knight f3 next.
Coming. Yeah, the queen is lost.
Finish
That's
that
it.
off.
Vidit takes
Wherever
out
the king
another
goes.
player. Wow. Wow, brutal game.
Yeah. Takes him down and asks who's next.
Well, next Vidit is going to be Onigiri for the chess bras.
Oh shoot, I've played him. He's good. that's
I wonder if they played at all in the arena. They might have crossed paths at some point.
Now I think on the Indian Olympiad team, Vidit has been taking on the role of like team captain for even a couple of years now. So I think he may feel kind of like, you know, don't worry to the teenagers, you know, it'll be your turn in a few years, but just watch Big Brother's back right now.
Yeah, I got this one,
these guys out for you.
Yeah, I mean, no, he is, several years older than the rest of the team, actually. Nihal, Pragnanda, Raunak. So, and arguably, I mean, okay, easily like the most experienced blitz player. So if he loses, then Raunak is up next for the Indian team. That's how this kind of ladder thing will be working. But right now, I mean, he's just looking like super like unstoppable. Yeah. So I mean, this is going to be a very interesting game against Onigiri.
Yeah. And now we're going to find out the answer to your question about whether he should try to simplify, right? We'll see what he thinks about that question, right? We'll probably be able to tell from how he plays if he has in mind that drawing would be a good result or not for him.
Right. That would be interesting to see. I kind of feel like he's just going to go for the win. And then, but if he has a draw in his pocket, then that's just very good. That's nice for the overall team score.
Yeah. He'll be back to the white pieces. India had white in the first game, board 4 versus board 4, because they had the higher score in the arena. So in the arena, they were the 4th place finisher. That gives them, that gives them white in the first game. A small little advantage between 4th and 5th.
Oh, game has started. And Gary's on his phone. Gary, he
was tweeting real quick.
Your clock is going.
Yeah. He was just tweeting real quick. Exchange Slav. Does that say anything yet?
I don't know. I think it's a good blitz opening. It's good to put pressure with this one.
Okay. So not yet really showing his hand as to whether he wants a draw or a win.
Yeah, it's a solid choice though. Very solid by Vidit.
Yeah. It definitely must reduce white's losing chances a little bit compared to like a Slav gambit or something.
Yeah. I'm trying to think because I do follow Vidit's games quite a bit. I think he's like a really well-prepared player, but I don't really recall what he normally does against the Slav. Probably mixes it up, probably plays multiple systems.
So real quick, folks, if queen b7, I'm not going to play a million moves out for you as a variation during a blitz game, but if queen b7, the idea is probably knight b4 from black. And there's no bishop b5 to ruin black because of the pawn on a6.
Or knight a5 even might be trapping the queen there.
Is knight a5 even there?
There's like queen c7, but yeah, knight
No,
a5 can be annoying too.
Yeah, but see, knight a5, queen c7 here would be fine for white. But yeah, I think bishop g5 is the most common move there. So
Yeah, kind of typical. This knight h5 attacking the bishop. Knight e5. Wow, that's a very aggressive move.
very aggressive. Okay, so it's hitting the knight on h5 with the bishop. That's part of the juice here. If you trade on e5, then the pawn on e5 cuts off the knight's retreat. So Anish just throws
Just
more
h6.
gas on the flames. Just
And he can take on h5 here and hit
Mhm.
the f7 pawn, but I think
And then-
black wants to insert knight takes e5.
yeah, bishop h5. Then he'll go knight e5, defending f7. Yeah.
Yeah, call me crazy. I don't think Giri is very intimidated by Vidit's 2-0 score. He's just like, yeah, whatever, Vidit. You used to be my second. We're still on good terms. I can take you down.
Yeah, I mean, I would think almost nobody intimidates Giri with the wealth of experience that he has and just how good a chess player he is.
Right.
Like if there would be anybody, it would have to be Magnus, but I mean, I don't know how much he even cares about Magnus.
Even then, yeah, even then.
Except as a friend, I think he really treasures Magnus's friendship. But
Oh yeah. Well,
I've got to do something about knight h5. I don't much like g5 anymore. I feel like the time for wild measures is coming to an end, and he might have to do something normal, like moving an attacked piece to a safe square.
yeah, now Anish is thinking about it. He's thinking about g5, but okay, takes first.
Okay, there's no coming back for that knight. He does
There
go
we
for the
go.
g5 line.
Yeah.
Wow. He wants it funky. He wants it
And now I
funky,
could just take on
playing
h5 and just get him to spoil the structure, but queen a4. Wow, what a move. Queen
This is a
d7,
game
there's
of
bishop
so
b5.
This is a game of so many in-between moves.
Yeah,
Just
so many little tricks.
wow. Okay, so
Queen
he allows
c6.
bishop b5, right?
Yeah, what does he want on bishop b5? Vidit's also confused, but he's gonna figure it out. I have a feeling.
He'll figure it out, then he'll show us. Bishop b5, pawn takes, queen takes. Oh, then the bishop's not attacking the knight anymore. So that's one part of it.
Yeah, so black just goes king d7 and just says like, I have a lot of compensation. And
Yeah, king d7. If the rook were defended, we could go for like bishop b4 or something. Uh-oh, we're getting flashing clocks. I hope that's
yeah,
just me
flashing
and not the
clock's not a
players.
good sign. Let me see on my end.
Flashing clocks are like my least favorite feature on all of chess.com. And I know the site has like 7,328 features. But
Yeah, you might just need to refresh the browser. Oh yeah, we have the live game now. Cool.
we're back. He didn't go for bishop b5, just traded the pieces. We go to the end game, grabs the open file. Black's got the bishop pair, maybe the worst pawn structure because the H pawns aren't good. Although even that, it's hard to be sure. The white knight seems to have employment, but b6 got a lot worse as a square now. With the pawn on b7, I was thinking b6 would be a good square.
Interesting that he's allowing this knight into c5.
Knight c5, rook c8, and it just has to back up, right? Oh, b4.
Maybe b4, yeah. But he goes knight b6. Wait, where's this knight going, Vidit? Knight c8?
It seems to be headed to touchdown. Maybe he forgot which piece is allowed to queen in chess. Just kidding. I know he's really good.
Yeah, but he's thinking now, so that's concerning. Oh, rook c6. Okay, that was his move. Wow.
He's
This
building
is
a
always
fort,
very difficult to do. Yeah, just like
building a fort in the other guy's tree.
Hmm.
King e2, rook hc1 on the menu. Or castles. Is this a castles or a king e2 position, Kostya?
that's a good question. I guess we're gonna see. I'm gonna guess castles. Oh, f4. Wow, king is going to f2 maybe, so that the bishop can still come back.
Yeah.
Oh no, f4.
Black,
Okay, he's just defending the pawn.
Black, I think, can technically castle because of knight d7, rook bc8.
Mhm.
and they don't lose their rook. You can't play rook fc8 because of knight b8, knight c6, kind of
Right.
with sort of like a reminder of what checkers is like. Okay, rook b7.
Yeah,
And
now it feels
Vidit
like
has
White
built
is
his
very
fort.
comfortable. Yeah.
He finished building his fort. He looks really in good shape here. He's got 10 seconds less. They've still got the 2-second increment each. Giri opens up the dark squared bishop and looks to open it up more. Okay, White needs something good here.
No, very sharp game.
No idea
I mean,
who's
Vidit
better.
or Giri also has a 2 bishop, so like, yeah. I mean, this
Yeah.
d4 move really feels like it kind of changes things.
He's trading off that whole e3, f4, e5 pawn structure. He just wants it all gone. He's thinking for a while here before trading. So does that mean there's some other important move like bishop e7 to look at? Yep. The rook's got duties. The rook's got duties on b6. He looked pretty deeply into the position for like, you know, having 30 seconds on the clock there.
Right. Yeah. Who knows how? Yeah, probably say like 10 moves.
And he
D3.
goes for this pawn. I was sure that he would just trade and like make the game go longer and use the bishops.
Mhm.
Okay, the bishop's covering d1 at least. It's not queening yet. White looking at maybe knight e7 to f5 to trade off both pieces and players, with the opposite colored bishop ending.
Oh man. But it's so huge that Vidit has like kind of draw odds here. Like if he draws the game, that's
Mhm.
very good for his team.
Yeah.
But man, Gary is just playing like 2 bishops endgame of a lifetime. This is incredible. He's just like just keeping total control.
Oh, poor knight. Poor knight has been served. Served papers. Bishop g6 maybe? Or
Bishop
h5.
G6
Or just h5. Oh, then there's
H5,
h3.
H3. I like your bishop G6.
Gotta be
Yeah,
this.
nice.
Gotta be this. You want to make the king back up and then you can go to e4. Or not.
It goes this way.
Or not.
Knight D4. Is he gonna take this one? No, then White's king, I think, gets an E5. Nice.
That's the move he's been wanting to play for a long time, but he didn't want to trade his bishop for the knight while it was covering e5.
Yeah.
There goes his h pawn, but he's got what he wants with this king. I'm betting on black right here, even though he just lost a pawn. Well, I mean, sacked it.
No, he has great chances. He's getting this A pawn. This is huge.
He's giving another one. All he needs is one pawn left to queen, I guess. And
Yeah,
White
that
looks for
knight,
knight
though.
d5.
Vidit still has those knight chances. Those rocks.
I don't know
The
what
killer.
to do about that knight. I didn't see anything to do about it.
Yeah.
Bishop
That was
h5, there's g4 now. He's got so many pawns. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Giri can't figure out what to do anymore. Why did I bet on black?
Yeah. It's turning around. Okay, he's going back. It's like, yeah, I gotta take this pawn.
Yeah. It's like I couldn't figure out how to take this pawn before.
Oh, it's just gonna be the race, but black
Knight
has the
can't
bishop.
do anything anymore.
I think
That's
black
why
is
I bet
better.
on black.
D2.
Oh, he just brings it. He's
he's
ignoring
got
a knight
check.
on d5. It literally, it's just like, normally it's like your knight on h1 isn't playing here. It's like your knight on d5 is just out of the game.
Oh, he's lost. Wow, he resigns. Unbelievable. Wow.
Well, folks, that's what level 3000 looks like. Anish nods, takes a
Wow.
sip. He's going to tweet before he takes on an Indian teenager. And we are going to take
Giri.
a quick break here while the next players get into their seats. Don't go anywhere. You're going to want to see whether the Chess Bras or the Yogis qualify for the semifinals.
The World Chess Championship. The champion, Magnus Carlsen. The challenger, Yaponyashi. Watch the only Twitch broadcast with live video from Dubai on Chess.com/TV. Your home for the World Chess Championship.
And Chess.com is your exclusive Twitch home for the video feeds for this year's World Chess Championships. Join us for the best coverage around as we watch this year's players, the defending champion Magnus Carlsen and challenger Yaponyashi, who you already saw today, battle for the title, the World Chess Championships, coming in November to Chess.com. Okay, welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, we've got Raunak here coming up against Giri. Giri just scored huge win for the Chess Bras. I mean, unbelievable game. That was like the one result they just needed more than anything. Giri taking down Vidit. Now, like, he's not an underdog against any of India's players.
Yeah, that flips things around quite a bit. And I know, like, every game is so exciting in this format that when you win one game, it's very easy to think like, okay, this team is going to like win the 4v4 ladder match. They've got, 4 players versus 3 now. Like, what are they going to do?
Right.
But I mean, all they need to do is win back one game and then suddenly, things can sort of equalize. And he won that game with black. Now he's got the white pieces. So he's in good position to, make some progress against the Yogis.
Yeah. He's listening to some music there. He's
Drake.
bobbing. Yeah.
Drake. I checked out his Twitter feed during the break, folks, and he was tweeting about Drake. He's listening to Canadian music because he's playing for the Chess Bras. So he's
typical.
He's a method player.
Classic.
All in. Going all in.
Yeah. And now Raunak is just needing to hold one game for the Yogis here. He just need to make a draw one time.
Pre-moves knight c3. He had no way to preserve his bishop and his e4 pawn, I guess. And he knew it. And Sadwani is in no hurry to take that valuable bishop. Attacks the e4 pawn. If e5, he can throw in knight takes c2 if he wants. And that's what I'm expecting. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, feels like he has to go. Well, if he doesn't put his knight on e4, I'm not sure what Blank is doing. But you think takes knight e4, takes bishop f5, and then there's, who knows? So he goes knight e4 immediately, which gives a pawn.
Right. So on knight e4, he could still transpose to what you said, maybe with knight c2. Yeah. The knight's attacking 2 rooks. I don't see, like, I mean, white could play knight f6 check to mess with black's king. Yeah, that would be good enough. That would be good for white.
Knight f6,
so, yeah, knight e4 is good enough. He's got knight
here we go. We might see it. Knight f6. Nice. Pre-moved. That was a good pre-move, gf6. That was very smart.
Yeah. They've got a 2-second increment, so the pre-move heroics are not as critical. But here, okay, the rook trying to cover these weaknesses, but there's so many weaknesses on that king side.
Yeah. I'm thinking even simple move like bishop e3 here for white might secure nice advantage. Just trying to trade.
Because you want to play knight d4, right? And then you're like, knight d4, bishop takes d4. Okay, we need something else.
Oh, he goes c5. And Giri knew he couldn't take that because of rook c8, but he quickly goes queen d2 and says, actually, I'm going after h6 pawn.
He's going very quickly, and Raunak tries to counter it with the bishop takes h3 threat. But what about bishop h6, bishop h3, bishop g5? Like, who, like, does that really work out? And can he calculate that in 1 second? Yeah,
I don't know. Raunak is so good, though. I mean, it's just like ridiculous. I feel like he's like, I mean, he's been under huge pressure, but he's like putting up like very, like, I don't know, nice counterplay here. And now Giri has to kind of like figure it out, but
takes it.
He is capable.
Reaction from Raunak. Just pondering. Yeah. I think rook g6 may have been too fast. I'm not sure that he calculated this bishop h3, bishop g5 idea.
Yeah, might have missed bishop g5. Maybe needed to go king h7 there to just defend, but yeah, now he's trying to figure out how to keep some chances on the board. The position does feel dynamic enough where it could still feel like if he just goes, oh.
Wow, and after double checking it, he decides to go for bishop h3. Geary instantly bishop g5, no double checking, no like chinks in his confidence. He's just like, even if you think I missed something, I didn't miss anything. And then e6 immediately? What?
Wow.
Wait, now Geary's on a different planet.
Yeah, he's just like feeling it. I mean, he sees everything. Geary is seeing everything.
Is the point bishop e6, knight e5, rook g7, bishop f6, rook h7, queen g5?
I don't even know if it's that deep. I think he just wants
king f8, bishop
the
e7,
e5 square, and he wants this
e8,
bishop out of
g8,
his
winning the rook.
Out of his thing, maybe.
Look, the rook's like basically trapped, right? And if it goes like this, he's got check here. And I don't know if he even wants to like win an exchange, but he could win the rook now.
True.
Potentially there's something more, even more devastating somewhere here. But okay, back to the game position. Live is e6, f6. And queen takes d5. I'm going to trust Geary that that's an impactful threat, that e7, e8 with a discovered check.
Yeah, I don't think black survives this one.
That's done. Another one bites the dust. I mean, we'll watch the end of it because it's exciting, but I'm calling this. What? No e7?
Just gh3.
Oh, e7, bishop back to e6.
Yeah, I figured he had something there. I don't know. But I like that he just takes the bishop. It's solid. Queen takes b7, another pawn. It's crushing. His bishop on a7 is just devastatingly bad. And it's because it's like tying the rook down as well.
Okay, g4, c4. Is it totally terminal?
Yeah, you got to go like something. Yeah, g4, c4.
G4, knight e5. Pawn takes h3, knight g6, queen g6. And this queen covers the checkmate. So before throwing his tactic with g4, he tries to open up the bishop. Jeez, Anish is just we had to take Sadwani off camera. He just hurt us so bad.
Yeah. brutal.
Anish him out. And
wow,
Anish is
2
like,
wins
okay,
for the Bras.
Let's go on to the next song.
Wow. KO's in the chat.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, Anish is looking confident. If you're Pragnanda, are you worried?
No. If I'm Pragnanda, I'm like, what's up? I'm one of the top talents in the world. Here we go. No, I'm good. If I'm Pragnanda.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's gonna be it's gonna be a crazy game. I mean, no, Prague is super good. Nihal Sarin's also just like an absolute beast. The thing is, like, these kids, it's like, how are their nerves, right? Can they keep it cool? Because they might be a little bit nervous actually playing Geary. They've looked up to him for many years. You know, they follow him on Twitter. They're like, wow, I wish I could be like that. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
They gotta beat him. They gotta beat him.
Geary is projecting so much confidence right now. I mean, those were some beatdowns just now. So I could imagine that shaking somebody else's confidence a little bit.
Right. Yeah, he seems very, very smooth right now.
Yeah.
But we'll see. He's gonna have black. Maybe it's time for Prague to think about trying to make a draw. I don't. It's hard to do in a blitz game.
Someone needs to trade off Geary.
Take him out. Take him out.
Yeah. Well, the color pieces are going to switch, so Prague's going to get white. I recommend he use his very best opening prep. Don't save it for an OTB tournament. There's like thousands of dollars on the line for 1 3-minute game. So pull out all the stops. Hopefully he was checking Anish's opening repertoire while Raunak was playing.
Yeah, he's just reviewing his Berlin. Maybe he'll play that Berlin draw that we keep seeing in the all the top rapid events, the online.
I think Anish is going to give him the knight orf.
All right, let's see. E4. Oh, Sicilian. There we go.
Yeah.
Knight orf coming. Bishop B5 check. Okay.
Prague doesn't want it. Prague doesn't want that knight orf. He wants to trade him off. He's trading already. Yeah. The light squared bishop less Maroxy.
I
Absolutely.
think that's the play though. You make a draw and you trust Nihal can win the final game.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly, I would just be in terror of Anish at this point. So yeah, like I see even the faintest glimmer of a draw. I'm all over it. Anish is going to play rook c8 and threaten to win the c pawn here.
Yeah, queen d3 is so odd, just giving black knight e5 whenever he wants.
Really, really odd. Normally it goes to e2 with rooks on d1 and c1. And then leading straight into this trade on c6, which you don't normally make. And so Anish wonders for a second, should he change the structure with the b pawn?
Right.
Because knight c6 is like fairly rare at the like super GM level for someone to release the tension as white in these kind of positions.
Yeah, you usually don't see this move unless white can get some kind of quick follow-up, like an e5 or like some kind of initiative.
Yeah.
Typically, it seems to kind of just give black an easy game, but we'll see. I
Queen
think white's
C6.
position is still fine.
This seems to already set white some problems because of b3, b5. So white might have to trade another piece. Not that they don't want to, but knight d5 would hit e7, and maybe we save the c pawn by recapturing on d5 with the c pawn.
Yeah, he's got to be careful here already.
Look at the time. See what I said about confidence. Anish is confident, and that's hurting the opponent's confidence. And he's going after that b pawn, right?
I would say black is like slightly better now. And white's going to have to try to hold it.
White needs a really strong move here where black's going to be a lot more than slightly better. It's like really teetering on the edge of collapse for white. Maybe rook f2 is the move, and on rook c8, rook a to f1.
Right, I think that's the play.
Bishop b2 then. Then there's bishop b2. So on rook c8, we need something else.
Rook c8, maybe rook b1.
One rook trade and then rook c1, because if rook b2, rook c8. Yeah.
Oh, we trade and go rook c1. Oh, yeah, exactly.
So on rook c8,
white
has to trade and play rook c1. If the rook trades, then the bishop comes back and defends b2.
That should be a drawish endgame.
They're looking for a second. I'll show you guys one variation. I know
Gary
some
sees it
people
because
don't like
otherwise
to
he would have
see
played
everything.
rook c8 immediately.
Like this.
But yeah. And
that's the
GG.
justification for rook c1, which I think would sort of save white in this endgame. But let's see what they've done. Anish didn't double rooks. He came back to c4. He's going to nurse the c file. And the g7 bishop. I mean, everything's a little bit superior about his position.
Yeah. So you saw that coming, and now he's playing for the win. He's going to go for f5 at some point and try to just weaken white structure. Yep.
Oh, another front even before playing rook c8. Kostya, I think I play a lot of lazy moves like rook c8 in these positions.
Right. Yeah, f5. Very precise.
Okay, so e7, that's a weakness. White needs something to hang their hat on. So bishop g5, rook e1 coming. It's a weakness that the king can defend, which is a good use of a king with the current number of pieces on the board.
Yeah, Prague needs to hold it together here.
Question is, after rook e1, is it going to be bishop f6 or rook e8?
Yeah, good question. Bishop f6 allows a trade of bishops, and white gets the rook into e6. So maybe rook e8, then the rook is passive, right? So it's like no perfect options here. So
yeah,
rook
because once
e8.
the rook gets to e6, it can even go back and forth between h6 and e6, trying to trade off Anish via repetition. So rook e8, keeping just a little bit more on the board, a little bit more to work with. Yeah.
Now, what happens if white goes rook e6? Just kind of plugging.
Yeah. Stopping bishop f6 for sure for a while. And notice also that Prague managed to make Anish think down to equal time, right? So any jitters from the beginning should be gone now. He's just like, at work trying to save this thing.
Yeah, now he's focused. He's in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, though, I mean, it's just going to come down to a bullet game. 1+2.
Yeah.
H6, putting the question to the bishop. Where do you want to go?
Right. You commit to h4. g3 might have been played specifically with the intention of hanging out on h4, but it's still a commitment.
Yeah, he's not sure.
And black could play bishop e5 at some point, and then you ask yourself, how much pressure do I have, right? I mean, yeah, he doesn't commit, and Anish was expecting that. Goes to the c file.
Yeah, now rook transfers to c7. So for de2, can bring a rook up to c7 and kind of defend from the side. Ooh, man, it's just like, I think it's very close to equal. So it's just going to be like really tense as these players play, because it doesn't seem like the game's going to simplify anytime soon either. It's just going to be like, back and forth.
Going to be some maneuvering for several more moves. Black could consider trying to double on white's first rank here with rook c1 to b1.
Yeah.
I don't know that it produces anything, but it's a consideration.
Rook c5, putting pressure on that pawn.
Right. Also maybe preparing the double rook lift against the b pawn, right? And the a pawn coming to a4 would be part of that. Would be prep.
Yeah, Gary's pressing here.
The siege.
He's
h4
pushing.
does nothing. I think that's like a drifting move here. I mean, like ultimately having the pawn on h5 nails down h6. It's like a mild improvement, but I don't know if he realizes that Gary's up to something like very significant, right? Where
I mean, maybe he's trying for like rook e6, but it's rook e6 is always when the rook takes d5 actually. So he doesn't really have this move. So that's maybe the problem.
Okay.
King h3. Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's doing much.
Sure where. Also, this rook doubling to c5, I'm not sure what the defense is. So there's like both moves. It was kind of like a fork of rooks. Rooks seldom fork things.
Wow. No, man, I think Gary's taking another one down. It's just very unpleasant for white. He's just going to take. And
you want one rook or two? One. He's going to head back to b5 now. There's bishop d6. Okay, so he saves the b pawn like that. Heads into the weak spots.
Oh, d6 is hanging.
That helps white a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think he meant to give that pawn up.
Sits back for a second.
Yeah, clearly not.
Slightly off the plan.
Some hope for Prague, some chances.
20 seconds each. I don't see much other than bishop f6.
That's the best feeling when you take a pawn tactically and your opponent spends 10 seconds.
Accepting the new reality.
Yeah.
Yikes. And from Anisha's perspective, that hurts, right? You were like getting close. The game was
because he really needs to win this game for his team.
Right. And the h5 stuff is going to come into play now, because like normally what I would do here as black is I'd play king e6, d5. White would take on e7. I would trade and push my b pawn and sort of transfer into the rook endgame with the centralized king. But here white's going to have super fast counterplay on the h6 pawn if black ever does something like king d5.
Yeah. So he's trying to use this bishop as a total rock.
He's got the rook e3 moment. That's going to really hurt that tactical detail.
Ooh,
now the b pawn is loose. The king is centralized. And Anish is in really strong shape again.
Yeah, I think it could be all over.
Still take on g5. Take on g5 in some cases. For now, there's rook b2 to h2.
Yeah.
Now there's no rook b2. Watch out. Watch out. He might have his eye on that. He does. No, the rook went to a2. It's not going to work.
Oh, rook h2.
King d5, taking away that square from the king.
No, it's all over. Prognose it.
Pawn or his b pawn. Either one looks winning. Yeah.
Man, Giri, number 3 for Anish Giri. Yeah, he is just taking it down for the chess bras.
Wow. There was a tense moment for a second there. But that opening with queen d3 leading into problems on c4 and then knight d5, it all just like backfired. Anish honestly had a pretty easy game there in the sense that he was never in danger of losing and always had winning chances. I mean, it's not like he just like cruised to winning and there was no opposition. But I think from his perspective, he probably was never super worried during that game, right? He could just like focus.
Yeah, no, that was just a very clean, smooth grind, just putting a little bit of pressure on his opponent the whole time. And next up is Nihal Sarin, and that's it. Nihal is going to have to win 2 games now for the Yogis to get them through. Basically, just going to have to put in like a superhero performance. First, you got to take out Anish Giri, and then you got to take out Ivic on top of that, who is like on fire in the arena.
Yeah. Yeah. The Yogis are down to their last man or boy, right on the borderline. Nihal. Well, on chess.com blitz ratings, he's the favorite, Kostya. But sometimes I feel like in the pro chess league, I don't know if it's because it's called pro or what, but somehow when it comes down to the clutch moments, then suddenly guys like Fabiano or Anish, who may not spend their whole life grinding 3-minute blitz on chess.com, it's like for one game, suddenly they're actually 3,300, not 2,900. And they actually like sometimes are the favorites. Who, like, do you have a sense of who's actually better in a do or die game like this?
Yeah, I don't know. I get what you're saying. Somehow it feels like even though these youngsters like Nihal and, guys like Danya, who are like blitz monsters, like 3,100s, but in, like classical chess are lower rated. I wonder if there's some kind of, subconscious respect when they go up against like a Giri or a Wesley So, because they know how good these guys are in classical. But I'm not sure. I'm hoping Nihal, just plays for the flag, just that is full, just gives no respect to his opponent. I think that's how confident you have to be at this level to win games. Like,
so if you were Nihal, you would @Giri on Twitter and say, "About to get flagged, old man."
I don't know if I would add him, but in my head, I would be like, I'm winning this game.
Yeah.
You got to visualize the victory, I think. And it's going to be it's going to be high pressure. And now Giri can make a draw and win the match for his team.
Oh my God.
That's very dangerous.
What a position to be in. Win the whole match on a draw.
How the tables have turned.
Huh? Every game, the tables turn a little bit more. And the Chess Bra fans, who are probably a little bit worried at the start of this ladder match, have got to be feeling pretty confident right now. I would be confident for them. I think that Anish is the favorite here, despite those blitz ratings. After seeing him win 3 games in a row, I think even Nihal's got to be a little bit intimidated. I don't know how you hypnotize yourself, maybe hypnosis, to not be a little bit worried against Anish at this point.
Yeah, I know, a very tough position. The nice thing, though, I've always felt about having a must-win situation is that you no longer have to concern yourself with keeping the position kind of equal or balanced. Right. It's like you just know you need to win. And actually, it can be helpful for some players, even if you're lower rated in a must-win game, like for a norm or for a prize. Because during the game, you don't think about like, oh, maybe I should try to play solid, make a draw. It's like, you just know exactly you have to play aggressively. And this often causes players to just make better moves, like play more ambitiously. And that can be a deciding factor in the end.
Yeah, just some clarity, win or you're out. And what's at stake right now is like very clear to him. If he draws or loses the game, it's $3,000 for the India Yogis, and their week and their sort of mini season is done. If he wins, they go on to the semifinals and they've got access to, $5,000 to $20,000 of prizes. So extremely clear what needs to be done. He's just got to win this game. He can't think about partial victories like I drew a super GM, right? Or like I went 60 rounds with him, right? Like I've sometimes given myself partial victories in my head, like in OTB tournaments where I'm playing somebody, I'm like, yeah, they beat me, but I gave them a tough game, and now that's just like gone. As you said, it's just, you got to win regardless of who it is. Yeah.
So we'll see. Well, Giri will get white, which makes it really tough for Nihal because Gary's going to be in control, and his whole repertoire is just like designed to just keep like a small like nagging advantage where you can press and press and press and avoid kind of lots of risk of losing. And so Nihal is just going to have to. And we got to say it is pretty late in India, so it's a kind of a tough spot for them.
Right.
They've been playing all night, and but at one game, like you said, $2,000 extra on the line, at least minimum, could be more.
And I think the semifinals and finals, I
Mm-hmm.
think the semifinals and finals move back to 10 a.m. on Thursday and Friday instead of noon. I think everything's a little bit later today, Tuesday, because there was Titled Tuesday on Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12. So this was the only day that the PCL was at noon, and that pushed things back in a tough way for the Indian team. Anish gets a rematch with Pragnanda and says, no, already dealt with him.
What is this? Yeah, I already play. He's gonna tweet. I already beat
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
So
man, 3077. Nihal Sarin with the G6. Well, he knows he's playing for the win.
Yeah, that's an extend the game kind of opening, right? The modern branches.
Oh, knight C6, very interesting.
6. Not quite your horse opening that Jesse was mocking, right? But it is an early knight C6.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah.
All right. Gary, he's just keeping it solid. I don't think he's playing for any kind of big advantage. He took on E5.
Yeah. Pawn on C3. Let's nothing for black to get excited about yet. Bishop D3.
But I think black is going to equalize here comfortably, and then you can play.
Already
Yeah.
equalized easily.
Right.
Wow. And if pawn takes knight on D5 would be nice.
Oh, but he avoided the trade of knights, and now could be a little bit awkward.
Not as strong with the white knight on E4.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, slightly awkward. Now Gary's got a Gary position, right? Rook D1.
Oh, easy for him.
No. Okay, that's a resourceful move. Stopping bishop C4 needed to happen.
Yeah. Rook Q1. Bishop comes
curious
out.
about your back rank, Nihal. He's curious about your back rank.
Hmm.
Also, he just wants to trade rooks on open files.
Yeah, Gary, he's just like trading stuff. But I mean, there's still enough pieces here that if Nihal gets a little something, like he can definitely just kind of grind it out.
4 to try and get the bishop pair on C2.
Yeah, what's going on with knight B4? I think he's calculating something.
Before he's stopped, right? He was playing really fast. I wonder if
he's spending a lot of time.
The idea is basically, 2 X-rays, folks. This queen looking through the pawn and this bishop looking through the bishop. And since knight B4 attacks the queen, there's probably no in-between moves on F5. So knight B4, the idea would be pawn takes knight, queen C2, just trying to get a bishop pair and a doubled pawn for the opponent into the endgame. Doesn't go for it.
Yeah, ends up trading.
Maybe there's a refutation.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it was there.
Yeah, it's an unusual tactic, but not super long. Super solid move there.
Yeah, bishop C1, nothing hanging. Defending the only undefended piece with his other undefended piece.
Nothing to make tactics out of. Oh, he's like, B2's already defended, friend.
Yeah.
Now the knight on G3 could use an improvement, right? Like if it were on F3, you could have traded a rook and put the other rook on E1 or something. It's also getting dominated by the G6 pawn. So.
Wow, Gary's super comfortable. He's like, don't worry, guys, I got this. He's like, no problem.
Yeah, not enough time on the clock. Risks his bishop coming out. After the knight retreats, the bishop will just go back to C1.
Just go back to C1. Maybe he'll throw in bishop G5. Yeah, I mean, at least he got him to play B3, so he has this one micro weakness on C3. He can try to breathe that. But.
Right. And 2 pieces aimed at it, but it's probably coming to C4 at some point. And by now, the queenside being kind of cleared out, he doesn't need to block the bishop on G7 anymore. I think you just want to avoid the bishop on G7 in this phase of the game. 2 minutes for Geary. Takes a rook off the board, and there's a tactic knight F3.
Oh no. Gary's like, what's going on? He takes with check.
Recoils in horror. Rook E1 is with check, and then the rook on D6 can still be taken, and Nihal's winning.
What a turnaround. Nihal's winning this.
Yeah.
Oh, Gary. Oh, no. He just totally blundered. He totally relaxed there.
Yeah. Oh, man. It was finally time to trade the rooks, but it wasn't quite time to trade the rooks yet. He'd been very disciplined about not giving up the tension and just being comfortable with the rooks facing each other. And then he finally went for it, and Nihal hits him with a tactic, and now Nihal should be very confident suddenly.
Wow, look at that. Nihal and his team is just elated for him, I bet.
Wow. Yes.
Like,
Yes,
let's
they
go.
are.
84. I mean, it's still not easy, but
No,
like he
not
should
easy,
win.
But I believe in Nihal's, capabilities in this position, shall we say.
Yeah, he knows he's good.
Okay. Takes the knight out of the center and opens up the file. This knight needs to go to d5 if white wants to make a game of it. If it can't go to d5, white's position won't be good enough. Nihal's preparing knight d5, rook e2.
Yeah, rook e2's coming. That's going to be a disaster. Maybe he still has queen h4.
Mm-hmm.
You can poke around a bit. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
still not easy for black here.
Yeah, he decides not to play queen d2, but just go for it. He must have queen h4 in mind, like you say, or a super GM move that we don't know about.
Oh, Nihal's running low on the clock. Yeah, this could get tough if he allows
man.
counterplay here.
You got to have your confidence, Nihal.
One move
Gotta
like
keep your
that. So
confidence.
queen a5.
Yeah, queen looking into the king's position.
Yeah, I think Gary feels comfortable now. Oh man, 30 seconds for Nihal, king g7.
G7. I'm quite worried about his time.
And f4. Yeah, he still has chances here.
Queen g5.
Yuri. Maybe queen
Probably
d8 now.
threatening knight h5 and knight f6 and stuff. So the queen covers those
Queen
dark
e5.
squares.
Very nice. Very nice.
Okay. I think black weathered that first storm of counterplay, but 20 seconds in increment left. I still believe in Nihal here.
Oh, b6. Very quick. Nice. Yeah, he's taking over.
Preparing rook e1 while his queen defends the king from the furthest possible spot on the board.
Nihal's just playing incredible game right now. Rook e1 maybe. You would have to allow queen takes d6.
Yeah, but he's got queen h2 picking up the queen at the end of rook g1, rook h1, queen g1. King f4. And if the king goes to h4, he's got g5 and rook h3 mate. So he is.
Yeah, he's winning this.
Winning against queen d6. And king
Should
g3
just be
here, he's got
mating, take
oh
on
no,
f2.
g5, queen g5 is check. Yeah, but that'll do it. Queen f2.
No, just rook is coming in.
Anish leans back to prepare.
Wow, Nihal winning a huge game for the Yogis. Look at that.
Oh my
Oh man.
goodness.
And Gary just upset with himself because he was totally fine in that game, but
Oh yeah.
man.
It was everything that he wanted to have, and he had the time lead, and Nihal was sweating it. Now Nihal's laughing.
Just one blunder. No, he's not laughing. He's like, I have to win one more game. And okay, coming in as the final boss, Velimir Ivic.
Yeah.
Yeah, the superstar from the FIDE World Cup.
Don't think anyone has any idea what's going to happen here or which team is going to make it. This splits game now has at least $2,000 on the line.
Yeah. $2,000 on the line, the pride of both teams.
Call up chess numbers real quick and ask him what the percent chances are for each team in the semifinals and finals. We could get their expected value in the semis, right? Which might be like, 8,370 or whatever. And use that to calculate how much is on the line for this game.
Yeah. Oh man.
It might have cooled off by now. It's been an hour and 20 minutes since he was last dominating.
Right. Yeah, because he's just been sitting around since the arena. That's very tough when you're playing Blitz and you're feeling like, 2 hours, you're in great shape. All of a sudden you have to wait and watch these like crazy games. You're hoping Anish just wins, so you don't even have to go in, right?
That's true. You start to hope that probably if you're on first board. I mean, I imagine you try to resist that thought, right? Like you try and push it out and be like, if I play, I'm ready. I'm just only think about the scenario where you have to play, right? only think, what am I going to do if I end up playing Nihal? What color would it be for me by the time it got to me? Like, just think about that. But I think it's pretty hard sometimes to push those thoughts out of your head of like, oh, if we just won, I wouldn't have to risk anything here.
Yeah.
So, all right. So just so you all know, this is the first scenario where if there's a draw, the players aren't eliminated. Things keep going. Okay. If there's a draw, the first game is going to be Nihal's going to have white since he just played black. If there's a draw, they'll flip colors, play another 3 and 2. If that's a draw somehow, then they'll go to bullet 1-1 time control. And they'll just go back and forth. Nihal against Ivic till somebody actually wins a game in the bullet section. Not that like 2 blitz draws is the most likely thing here, but just to cover the rules.
Right. So these guys are first going to play. Winner advances. If there's 2 draws after 2 games, then they go to 1-1. Oh man.
Yeah.
This is going to be, one of the biggest blitz games of their life.
I'd like to see a 1.5 to 1/2 win in the blitz match.
Oh, if someone wins the first game, is that not just it?
Yeah, that would be it. So I guess I'd like 1 draw to build tension. Then I'd like them to decide in the blitz game. Yeah.
Second blitz game. Cool.
I'm not going to root for bullet. Everyone out there who likes bullet, of course, can be rooting for bullet. Most people are probably rooting for their favorite team at this point, rather than how long the match goes. You probably just want to know that your team got through.
Right. Yeah, so they're going to be starting soon here. Oh man.
The 2-hour arena is also tiring, so a little break would be okay. I would definitely go for a 10-minute break after the arena, but you get that anyway while the captains are picking their 4-player teams.
Yeah.
So I would say it's probably
looks like David might be frozen, but we are off in B3.
Probably like a small disadvantage.
Oh, there we go. You're back, David.
Yeah. Try to wave to the camera and the sun. All right, we're back.
Nihal with the B3. I love it.
With the B3 and the knight on F5. Really quickly getting to the other side of the board.
Yeah, there's a big divide on the Indian team between this B3 opening. Half of them are all for it, half of them all against it.
Yeah, it's almost like the hottest topic on Indian chess Twitter, right?
Exactly. So he's playing it in a big game. I think he's trying to make some kind of political statement. I don't know what the statement is, but I think he's making one.
Right. His knight made a lot of moves, I gotta say.
True.
I'm not a fan of like one piece stealing the show. I feel like it's more of a team game.
Yeah.
But his position is normal enough anyway.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting approach to choose kind of like a system opening in a must-win game, because it's like, now Ivic has to kind of think right from the opening. He's not as used to these positions as like the main lines, and Nihal already has like 30 seconds on the clock.
From what I've seen of Nihal's game, and I'm not the greatest expert on him, so there's probably going to be like fans out there who've seen every single game he's ever played, and they're like, why is this commentator so dumb? Don't talk about Nihal. But from what I've seen, his game doesn't seem to really like hinge very much on opening theory in general, right? So I don't feel like he relies on or really tries very hard to, seize the advantage in the opening and point the game in his direction. I think his game relies more on just talent. Just like when you get into positions that he sees everything, especially tactics, really fast, good feel for the board, and so forth.
Yeah, Nihal just like plays good moves. He doesn't really blunder. He doesn't make mistakes. He just like finds good squares for his pieces. He like plays good chess, sees tricks. He's like super, super strong in the end game. And he's just like, he's just like kid's 3084. I mean, it's just like a ridiculous number to reach, even online.
He saw this d-pawn was going to be in danger. He's hoping that white can't just take it yet and that he's going to be able to play c5, but Nihal's just going to stop for like some of his extra 30 seconds and calculate taking the pawn. Oh, the idea is c5 and queen d3, huh? Has Ivic saved that really precarious pawn on d4? Because it was eventually going to get, you know, encircled and collected otherwise with knight f3 and a rook or a queen coming to c4 if needed.
Yeah, he's thinking about if he can take it, because bishop f6, he'll have e5.
Mm-hmm.
And bishop c5, he can bring the other knight to f3. But then that drops the f4 pawn. So he goes knight f3 first. c5.
Right. Ivic holds on to his pawn.
I'm
going to trust whatever Nihal calculated there. So f5, Ivic fighting the whole board. And now that he's locked in that pawn on d4, I'm more comfortable with his position again. For a while, I was pretty worried about it. But
I like f5 a lot. Yeah, like his knight can drop back to e6. His bishop can go to the long diagonal.
Yeah.
You mean just b6 here?
What one could not overstate is that if light squared diagonals open up, that favors black with the unopposed light squared bishop. So if white does e5 or ef5, either one, that bishop can look forward to tastiness on the b7 to g2 diagonal at some point in this game. So we see Nihal just leaving that tension, leaving that pawn on e4. That's what he doesn't want to let the bishop get past. Knight on e2 could use an improvement, maybe. But if it goes to g1 and f3, white also has to watch out for knight g3 and stuff like black.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable here with white's position. I feel like, yeah, he has to do something like b4.
Yeah. Opening up some different space, making some issue on c5 as like a target, and there we go. He's found something to do.
Nice.
But he is down on time. I'm not worried about him flagging, of course, but we can see there was a phase there where he had to figure out some tricky stuff.
Yeah, c5 pawn's under attack. It's also a tough position for black. If you lose a c5 pawn, you lose a d4 pawn, like your king will one day be way too open on the dark squares. So man, what a tricky position. He takes on e4. That's a big decision.
Yeah. Well, things were getting critical, right? Because Nihal had another way to ramp up the pressure. If he tried to defend these queenside pawns, they're really getting pretty weak. I didn't see like a normal defensive move.
And Nihal's thinking about something here. Is he going to take on c5?
Other than recapturing.
Wow. He allows e3 because he's just going to take these pawns one by one.
Guess so.
Nihal, he just looks like bored, honestly. He's just like, I'm just going to take these pawns. These pawns are mine.
Bored in a $3,000 to $10,000 blitz game, huh?
No, I'm just kidding. He's focused.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is 5 a.m. in India right now for Nihal.
I mean, that could be like peak bullet time. You know, we don't know.
Yeah, that may not be an issue for him. I know a lot of the Indian fans were complaining earlier that it's not fair, but for all we know, it doesn't even register as a factor for Nihal. Who knows? I don't see any fatigue in him when I look at his face.
Well. Yeah. I mean, the kid beat Anish Giri, and now he's crushing this game. And he just needs to convert, and the Yogis will be through to the semifinals.
All this in the center. That's a mass. That's a malignant mass.
Yeah, nice Tetris shape there. And oh man, Ivic he's flagging. He just doesn't know what to do.
And that's part of that strength, right? Just spotting that from a distance. If knight f8, rook c6, the knight might be trapped. So maybe
let's be precise here. Oh, queen d5 check. That's a killer.
Maybe a precise move. Oh, and takes that too from that angle.
Queen h8 mate. Oh, here we go. Nihal, winner. Wow. Wow, congrats to the Yogis.
India Yogis are the semifinalists. Their top gun today, Nihal Sarin. Finally enjoying the moment.
Wow.
Finally
man, you can
enjoying
breathe
this
now.
5:00 a.m. moment.
Wow, what a match. Incredible.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, that was awesome.
That's great.
That was awesome. The fans love it. I think the fans stayed up till 5 a.m. for him too. So
Yeah, a huge heartbreak for the Chess Bras. They were very, very close with Onishigiri almost taking out everyone in the end there. But Nihal Sarant stepped in. Man, what a clutch performance.
Anish was scary. That was a tough. He was
Yeah.
tough to get through. The Chess Bra team was strong. Ivic had a great day today, but Nihal prevailed, and he will lead the Yogis into the semifinals on Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific against the St. Louis Archbishops.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll also be switching from Blitz Chess to Rapid Chess as we go into the semifinals. But we're going to take just a very quick break here, and then we will wrap up the action and send you guys off for Thursday. So wait just a minute. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. That was a lot of action today. We have come to an end for the quarterfinals of the Pro Chess League Arena Royale. Be sure to follow our channel here on Twitch. The best way to stay up to date on all the happenings is to follow us on Chess here. And there's a lot coming up yeah. First up.
Very cool. We got the Grand Swiss, the FIDE Grand. Man, I thought today's event was like as strong as the FIDE Chess.com Grand Swiss. This is gonna
had a similar field, yes.
This is going to be actually a qualifier for everyone wondering on the next candidates cycle. So the top 2 finishers in this tournament will be qualifying for the candidates in the next year's candidates event. So lots on the line there. Huge prize fund.
Yeah, 550. That's a lot. Also for the women, a spot in the women's candidates or world championship cycle for the top female score in the Grand Swiss.
Right. And then coming up for the Pro Chess League, we have our schedule here. It's going to be a rest day tomorrow. So no Pro Chess League action tomorrow. We're going to be picking it up with the semifinals on Thursday, September 23rd, 10 a.m. Pacific time. And that's going to be some very exciting matches. So who do we have, David? We have St. Louis against India.
St. Louis against India, who we just saw qualify as the 4th seed. And then the 2nd seed will be the Russia Wizards playing against the California Unicorns. So those 2 semifinals will both be on Thursday. Then on Friday, as you guys could all see, there's the championship match and also a 3rd place match between the other 2 teams. So the 4 remaining teams, semifinalists, will be playing 2 matches on Thursday and Friday. Going back to a normal, so to speak, PCL format where everyone on each team plays everyone on the other team. So you pick 4 boards and you go round 1, 2, 3, 4 against the other team.
Very cool. That'll be super exciting. Wow, Rapid Chess. Man, what a great time today. What an exciting arena.
Yeah. The ladder match delivered. The team arena delivered. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Give us a follow and we'll see you very shortly. Have a great day, everybody.